Smack between two trips to road courses for the NORA Retro Cup Series, Joliet, Illinois' Chicagoland Speedway gets us back to some classic NASCAR intermediate style racing, opening Pandora's box up not just for our Dark Star Garage power rankings, but also for the race to the 2005 NORA Chase. Welcome to Pit Stop TV and to the virtual Chicagoland Speedway. I'm Andrew Cardinale IV with Zach Murtis back alongside, and it's a pleasure to join you for coverage of the NORA Joliet 240. Today's coverage is brought to you by Harpoon Designs, by NORA, and by Whiplash Simcams. I'm excited to get racing. I say that every week. I do. Sometimes 3 or 4 times a week. However, Zach, this is a really good racetrack. iRacing just rescanned it. It looks fantastic, and I think it's going to race really, really well in these cars. We are set for a good one.
Oh, absolutely. Chicagoland is one of those tracks that always puts on some really great racing. I feel like it got a little bit of the short end of the stick when NASCAR removed it from the schedule in favor of the Chicago Street Course. But with it coming back, with it getting a little bit more love now, I think it's great to say, well, how can I phrase this actually? I think everyone's starting to realize what they had after they lost it, because this track is always great. From the famous slide job moment with Kyle Larson and Kyle Busch to Jeff Gordon getting into Matt Kenseth and winning the 2006 race. There are so many great aspects that this track has, and I cannot wait for these guys to take the green flag.
I'm excited for this one. Should be a lot of fun. Let's take a look at the point standings coming into tonight's race, and there you see Hunter Sr. on top, 450 points to his credit over the cut line coming into this evening. Obviously, we still have a good ways, but you are starting to see very clear favorites, as we've been seeing the last couple of weeks. Very clear favorites that should be in the chase, and some guys that maybe simply won't cut it. Dustin Kleba, one of them, 403 out of the chase coming into this evening. He is back in the field tonight, but Zach, I don't think there's any overcoming that gap at this point in time. So I think we can start to count him out of the chase, which is obviously great for some of these wild card drivers like a Ronnie Norman, like a Jacob Gladulus, even a Kyle Tubb or Donald Kite. So keep an eye on each of those drivers this evening as we go through tonight's program. I do want to kind of hustle things up. We're going to go straight to the third place driver on our timing tower currently in practice, and that is going to be Jacob Malone, who is third quick, fresh off a win last week, and we're going to talk to him as part of today's NORA pre-race show. Let me scroll down. He's actually the only one in the Joe Gibbs Racing channel, since Jacob Gladulus likes to race with some of the other drivers here as far as voice channels go. But let's bring in Jacob Malone, who, again, Zach, fresh off that win last week at Sonoma. And Jacob, this obviously a very different kind of racetrack, but kind of walk us through the transition on your side from being in that road course mentality a week ago to now getting ready for one of NASCAR's more fun intermediates.
Honestly, I have no clue. I'm trying to figure out the best line to save tires, because I know that's going to be a big detrimental if you do push early. Tire wear is massive, it seems, so far from the few laps I've ran.
And Zach?
Now, I want to ask you specifically, when it comes to Chicago, what makes it different in this case, now that you've had some practice laps? What makes it different in this case compared to other intermediate tracks that you guys will be visiting along the schedule?
I would say honestly, the unexpected amount of downforce you have. The car is very gripped up in the corners, especially on new tires, and kind of just drives really well. It's just finding that fine line and seeing how much you really have and not overstepping that barrier compared to, let's say more of a Michigan, where it can be a little bit tighter and kind of jello-y like we had 2 weeks ago.
And looking through the field so far this evening, of course, third quick in practice. You were talking last week after your win, and even moments ago, that you don't know what you're doing on the ovals, or so you say, but you're pretty darn good so far. You've actually got 3 top 10s in all 3 of your starts. You are the only driver, I believe, in the season, in the field, to have a 100% top 10 rate. So at the very least, you can finish towards the front, whether it's through strategy or what have you. Where do you kind of expect yourself to land tonight? Do you think you can keep that streak going of top 10 every race?
Well, it's going to feel a little bit like a Pocono-Michigan mix because I'm starting a bit deeper in the field than I would have liked. Poor qualifying has kind of led me to, kind of forced me to kind of probably be a bit more aggressive, especially at the start of the race, to find that, momentum and get by people. But I have to, of course, focus on tire management, and I hope I don't bite myself in the butt. I've already kind of looked forward to next week because I've never ran Montreal before, and I ran a few laps earlier today, qualified. I hope I'm still top of the board, but that's a completely different track than I'm used to as well. So definitely a fun time learning this Gen 4 car. I gotta say that.
And does it sound like, I know I asked you a similar question last week, but does it sound like you're going to go run the full rest of the season from here on out and try to go for something new in, I guess, 2027, 2006, however you want to look at it?
I do know that I will not be able to race the January 6th race, I believe. If we even have a race on that Monday, I don't know what track it is. I will be at Chicagoland, so I will be at this track in real life, rooting for my favorite driver, Tyler Reddick.
Well, I don't think you'll have to root too hard. He's been great this season. Jacob, congratulations again on the win last week. Hopefully we're talking to you again later tonight. We'll see.
Thank you, man.
And that's a quick conversation with our most recent winner in the NORA Retro Cup Series. I'm trying to find the channel, moving back down to, here we go. We'll get him back down to his team. But I'm excited to see how he does on another oval here this evening, Zach. And obviously we've seen him up front quite a lot. I think we can expect more of that this evening as the night goes on. Second driver on the list to talk to this evening, of course, well, this guy is not quite so high up the practice ranks currently, Zach, and it's somebody you've got some personal beef with, perhaps. Oh, there he is, crashing. What do you know, off of turn 4. Not actually personal beef, but we'll go ahead and grab the driver of the 48, Josh Conover. We like to poke fun when and where we can. And this guy makes it pretty easy sometimes. So Josh Conover, putting the car in the wall in practice. He's at least practicing how to crash efficiently. But Josh, let's talk about this evening. This is start number 50 for you in this series that, of course, you kind of run. Is that important to you? Did you even know that coming into tonight?
No, I didn't. Now you make me feel, as the kids would say, old, because I have all these starts. But no, I guess when you're league owner, you kind of have an obligation to make most of the races, if not all of them, right?
I suppose so. Looking across your stats, I'm sorry, Zach, I do also want to mention you have a pretty high top 10 rate. I just pumped up Jacob Malone's ego on top 10s. He's at 100%. You're not quite there. Of course, you've run more than 3 races. But still, 61% of the races you've run, you finish in the top 10. That said, it's also kind of a high top 5 number, which is a good thing, but it's 21 top 5s, 30 top 10s. It's almost like when you're running well, you finish in the top 5. Otherwise, it's kind of something happening to pull you back. Do you feel like there's a correlation there? Kind of feast or famine?
Yeah. It's funny, I think you said the same thing to Vinny, or maybe I did at Michigan when I was in the booth with you. We said the same thing about Vinny, where, oh, well, if he's, podium, he's, running great. Either that or he's wrecked out or, 20th. I don't think maybe we're that bad, but, obviously if you can, especially in this point format, if you can be consistent, every spot matters, I'd say, more than it even does now, because it's not your, 1 point. It's, I think, 5 or 3 or something. It's something obviously bigger than 1, so yeah, top 5s and top 10s are nice when you can string them together, but I actually didn't run this race last year, so I don't have any notes to go back on.
Well, the one note that I have in terms of how you expect this race to go, I asked Jacob Malone, I'm going to ask you as well. It's a bit old style, reusing a question, but how do you feel about this track with the characteristics that it has, with the rescan? What makes it any different from any other mile and a half that you're going to, and how do you feel like it may help your style? We've seen you run really well on older surfaces, notably Darlington that you won earlier in the season.
That's a good question, actually. I feel like it fits to me just from my dirt background. If we can get the older surfaces like Atlanta, obviously before I had to dip out a little early for that one, but for good reason. We're running up front. We were running good, and then even Darlington, like you said, the older surface. I think here you'll probably should see guys moving around. It's like in practice, everybody's kind of running from the white line all the way to the wall. So hopefully with a great field night, actually, I think we got 32 registered and 30 have taken the time. So track should get a good amount of rubber laid down. At that point, it's in iRacing's hands. Will the rubber, make the racing boring and let us not, move all around, or will it help us move around? I will say with my new wheel, I got a Moza thanks to Kevin. He talked me into it. I don't necessarily feel like I'm a loose race car kind of guy now. That's actually why I just wrecked here in practice. I went to save it, and it spit me out quicker than I could even try and catch it. So I guess we'll have to wait and see on that one.
I'm glad you mentioned the car count here so far, Josh, because we are looking at 32 so far in the session. 31 have been on track. That gives you a lot of options on the fantasy game that you apparently took some corners around last week. We're talking about this. Look, we're using this pre-race show to stir up some drama here and there, and this feels like the perfect way to get it started. What happened?
Kids, when you're in school, read all of the directions. Don't read halfway and then think you're good, because not reading all the instructions and the directions and listening to your teachers is bad. That's what I did, and I got in trouble. So don't read halfway thinking you got it. Make sure you read thoroughly. Reading is important.
For context, if you play our fantasy game on Pit Stop TV and the Pit Stop TV Discord server, you will see at the bottom, yes, the very bottom of the messages notifying that picks are open, you'll see that there's a cutoff time about when the race starts. Every week, at the same time, picks close. Anything after that will not be counted. Any edits after that, importantly, will also not be counted. Unfortunately, it seems Josh Conover and Kevin Baumler last week saw just how badly the 15 did at the start of the race with the penalty and everything, and just how good the 18 did with winning the race, and decided to change their picks. Now, I can certainly understand and respect the game here, Josh, but I hope you know we're going to be talking about this for a while.
That's okay. There's got to be an example out of somebody, right? I'm glad it's really not somebody else. I mean, I guess the joke was old. We used to pick on Zach because he wouldn't play, and then I beat him in a legend car, so now he has to play.
Whoa!
Like a week later by doing what I did. So at least Zach gets, out from under the radar now.
It's not even a week later, because we uncovered it a week later. You made the mistake last week, and then Wednesday it was the race that you beat Zach in. So you circumvented the rules slightly, then told Zach he had to play the game, and then we uncovered your secrets. But anyways, it's all in good fun, Josh. We appreciate you and everybody else who plays. And for those wondering, you have 5 minutes. 5 minutes to make the picks or edit your picks. Josh, Kevin, that's you.
Picks are in. It's sealed. I think Roger Goodell is already at the podium announcing my pick, so they're locked in. I saw Zach made his picks. He's actually copying me because he thinks I'm. Oh,
dang! There it is.
So there's no gain or loss here, So even if my picks are good, he doesn't catch me. So I feel like it's a lose-lose in a way there. But quick note, Andrew, I have your stream up. Top right logo.
Oh, you're right. How did I hit the wrong one? I got you. There it is.
I just want to make sure it wasn't.
They're visually similar, red and anyway. Yeah, that's on me.
You're good, man. I appreciate you guys. And
see, you're catching him and he's catching you.
It's
the difference is though, mine was a big no-no. His is like an oopsie, like an easy fix. Mine was like a. It's like a hand slap versus like a no.
Well, Josh, we appreciate you being a good sport. We'll let you get to it this evening. Best of luck.
Appreciate you guys. Hopefully, like I said, the car count's a good show, and we see you guys moving all around and put on a good race.
It'll be a lot of fun. There's Josh Conover, and I want to go straight into our Gas and Go segment here, Zach. I don't want to waste any more time before we get this rolling for the evening. This is my favorite part of the broadcast currently. We've 3 topics, just like last week. Let's go ahead and get right into it. I'm going to turn the music down first so we can kind of think a little bit more. Are you ready, Zach? That one fell flat. I don't know if you spoke, but it didn't come through. Regardless, here we go. First up, this is kind of, again, a bit of a spoof. Not even a spoof, replication, if you will, of the old NASCAR pre-race shows, talking about some topics pretty quickly. We're going to slowly add more than just these couple to this as time goes on, but we have 3 this evening, just like last week. First up, will Dalton Tucker take the points lead tonight? We saw it earlier, only 51 points separating Hunter Sr., who's had the points lead since Daytona, and Dalton Tucker coming into this evening. Zach, we're nearly halfway through this season. Could we see our very first points lead change tonight?
Well, Tucker is second on the board right now, and Hunter Sr. is 7th on the board. So, if they were to run as they will, it'd be a solid points game. But I don't know, Andrew. There's a lot of variables rolling into this race. I don't know if it's a good thing to say that he could take the points lead tonight. Too much going on, honestly.
Fair enough. It's definitely worth watching, especially as we get closer to the chase, but we'll have to keep an eye on that points battle between those two. Also, hang on, let's get that out of there. We just talked about it with Josh Conover. Fantasygate, I don't know that hashtags existed in the way they do now in 2005. So to recap, and I'm going to kind of take the spotlight here for a second, Zach. Basically what happened is they changed their picks after the deadline. What we have done, we haven't disallowed their picks entirely. We have. We gave them credit for last place -2 positions. Where do we land on that? Are they dirty cheaters or just an honest mistake?
Well, that Josh Conover guy, he's never rubbed me the right way, Andrew. Like, I don't know. Something about him is just, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I genuinely, it's an honest mistake on their side. We talked about it a good bit today, and it's not going to happen, at least with them again. And again, for those of you that are playing it, that are outside of the circle or what have you, that's all that happened. We took care of it. Those points won't count, at least not in the same way. So we're just trying to keep it fair to everybody. But Zach, third up, finally, can Brady Moats win like Dale Jr.? This was the race where Dale Jr. kind of turned things around, at least momentarily, in 2005. He actually won at Chicagoland after a long winless streak. Can Brady Moats get it done tonight?
If he can find the pace to make it happen, I think so. Brady has been very solid overall in a lot of these races. However, he's a little bit further down on the running order at the moment. In
21st.
fact, I don't even see that he's turned a lap. Oh, yep. No, you're right. 21st. I was looking. But I don't know. He's got to turn it around somehow if he wants to find victory lane.
We watching the Red 8 car this evening. I do want to get into power rankings and fantasy scores before we go too much farther in the program this evening. 15 seconds in practice. Chase Durheim, the fastest of the bunch, followed by Dalton Tucker and Jacob Malone. But Zach, power rankings coming into this evening. Here they are, brought to you by Dark Star Garage. Dalton Tucker still on top, but you might notice those numbers have come down pretty significantly for everybody. It seems like everybody at the top, they held or gained positions, but they still lost some in the score. I think because Malone showed them up so seriously, it just kind of shoved them all back a little bit. But there were still some gainers out there for some of these guys. The big things are, I think, Durheim still gaining 2 spots. That's pretty significant. And Hunter Sr. lost 3. He went from 2nd to 5th. He is now down there in the trenches with guys like Brian Jones and Vincent Arthur, and then kind of a drop off at the back end of the top 10. The whole league last week on the first road course of the season kind of got closer together, so their numbers came down there. Their scores came down a bit, Zach, but I think as time goes on, we'll start to see some new faces in the top 10 very, very soon. On the fantasy side, quickly, this is how things line up. Zach, I'm proud of you. You've gotten back to picking, but still not in the top 10.
Yay. I got time. I got plenty of time. We'll see how it all goes.
I'd like to make sure everybody can rest assured, by the way. I went ahead and closed those picks already, so nobody can make any changes, hopefully. At least if Discord operates properly, but we have just locked that channel. Just want to have some fun with Josh and Kevin. They're both starting top 5 tonight. You see Kevin Baumler lost those couple of spots, Josh Conover as well. So that's kind of the effect of it. They will be able to use each, I guess, use a drop week for last week. But it's still going to count against them here in the short term. So We'll see exactly how the effect ends up being. It shouldn't be too big of a deal. And then you see guys at the bottom. I mean, Chase Durheim grabbed some spots. He's now in the top 10 in the fantasy game. And you can play too. Picks have just closed, but you can certainly still join for next week and beyond. As the field hits the grid here at Chicagoland Speedway, Zach, I want to welcome in Miss Henry Oaks. She is watching the broadcast this evening. Yes, you are in the right place. Caden starts 5th. Let's go ahead and take a look at your ATVO starting grid, in fact. And, of course, as mentioned on pole, Kevin Baumler in the number 81. He is going to lead us to the green alongside teammate Dalton Tucker. Let's take a look at the grid, beginning with those couple of DEI teammates on the front row here at Chicagoland. Clearly, at least one or two DEI Chevys can get around here nicely. Can that Brady Motes guy do it as well? We'll see. He starts 6th. There's Chase Durheim and Vincent Arthur in row number 2, just ahead of, as mentioned, Josh Conover and Brady Motes, completing row number 3. A little farther back, row 4, Caden Henry Oaks. There he is, now fully in the number 5 car, along with Kyle Tubb in the 32 in 8th. And then how about Hunter Sr. and Nick Geilis? Maybe the best starting spot we've seen from him in a while.
Yeah, and right behind them, starting outside the top 10, it's Noah Blackwell and Ryan Housden in the 11th and the 12th spot. That's row number 6, and rolling off behind them, Jacob Gladgett, Jacob Malone. So 2 Jacobs make up row number 7, and then Cody Anderson and Brad Fulham are rounding off the first 8 rows, 15th and 16th. 17th and 18th on the grid, you'll find Ronnie Norman and Corey Harville in that 25 car. And then rolling off in row number 10, you'll find John Skabnicki and Nick Hom in that 38 and 88.
The Roush Yates car is back there in row 10. In row number 11, it's Tyler DeTalent making, I believe, his first, maybe second start of the season. He starts alongside Brian Jones, who won, I believe, a couple of weeks ago, right? He's been to victory lane recently. Cody Smith will start from 23rd spot alongside Donald Kite. Back in 25th spot, you'll find Dustin Kleba making his first start in a couple of weeks. Kyle Rochelle rolls off 26th, followed by Blake Hoppy. Haven't seen that name in a while, alongside there of Joseph Andujar III. Back in row number 15, Trenton Johns filling in the number 34 car this evening. He's the first driver to drive that car since Brendan Maddox earlier this season. Jordan White rolls off from 30th. And your final row on the field, a couple of guys in the very back running for owner's points. There's actually one more beyond that even. But you see Isaiah Watrous, Josh Adams, and finally Corey Mott back here. The number 89 has finally been entered, Zach, and I was trying to get his paint scheme to load. It is supposed to be a Morgan Shepherd look on that number 89, but it just hasn't loaded, unfortunately. And then you also see, it looks like we're having some paint scheme difficulties. That's Jourdain's. His was loading. Something tells me we could be perhaps some trading paints issues this evening. So we'll look into that and see if we can refresh things on our side one more time. But hopefully we get those loaded in shortly. I do want to take a look at your Whiplash SimCam's race details. There we see 160 laps this evening, 240 miles, 77% fuel as usual. All of that is the same otherwise. And then weather conditions brought to you by MX Wraps this evening. 77.8 degrees in the air, 102 on track, overcast skies, but still decently toasty out there on the pavement. Let's see what these guys can do. Kevin Baumler, I believe the second time this season he'll be leading us to the green. I believe the first time since Richmond. Can he lead lap 1? Will it be his teammate on the outside? Kevin Baumler, Dalton Tucker, and the whole rest of the field into the start zone of Chicagoland. We are racing in Joliet. Baumler loose off of 2, straight down to the inside goes the 81. Tucker will take over at the top, and he's closely followed by that number 24. These two simply cannot get away from one another, Zach, but to the line. Lap 1 goes to the 3 car.
Single file mostly amongst the top runners, a couple of side-by-side battles throughout the field. But as they run, Andrew, you're going to see these guys getting a little bit free as we roll because, I mean, they're not really running all the way down on the white line. They're giving themselves a little bit of a reprieve, letting that rubber set in a little bit higher up in the groove. Well, lots of good fighting throughout the field here on lap number 2. Tucker trying to extend that lead further over Vincent Arthur, and he will do so about 3/10 at the line.
I will never, ever get tired of that. The 3-car leading lap number 3, Arthur, Durheim, Conover, and Baumler are top 5. Kate Henry Oaks settles into 6th. A little farther back, your first side-by-side is Kyle Tubb on the inside. How about Brady Motes on the outside? This for 8th position in turns 3 and 4.
Ooh, Tubb, a little wiggle off the wall right there. I know you saw that, Andrew. Malone steps down to the bottom side. Just kind of getting a draft off of both these guys, seeing what line is going to work for him and what's going to be most beneficial as Tubb goes straight to the wall. Moats in front of him, giving him some dirty air. Excuse me, no, Nick is... Oh, my goodness. I didn't just mix those two up, did I?
It's okay. It's on lap 4. On board quickly with Jacob Malone on the number 18. He is running that special Madagascar paint scheme. I know the younger viewers will like that. I got to tell you, Zach, I remember when those movies first came out. I watched the first one in person. Poor memory. I like to move it. Jacob Malone trying to move it to the front of the field, to the inside of Kyle Tubb. It's just not working that time off of turn number 2.
You know, it's a little off topic, Andrew, but I got to ask you, since we're bringing up paint schemes that are more so for the kids. I know you took your kiddo to see Toy Story 5 that just released this weekend. How was that, by the way?
Fantastic movie. Absolutely should go. Very much. I mean, as a parent, I enjoyed it. I don't know that I would have enjoyed it if I wasn't a parent, just because, well, I'd be thinking that was too cool. But, or I was too cool, rather. But, no, it was a great movie. It was fantastic. And this battle, not getting any closer right now between the top two. Arthur still just hanging up about a half second off the 3-car. This little fight is interesting to me, though, Zach. I mean, you've got 3 guys that absolutely could win on any given week. Conover, Durheim, Baumler. They just haven't had the best of luck so far this season. One of them has a win. The other 2 are the top 2 in the series without a win.
You know, the more I think about it, Andrew, I have to wonder when these guys, kind of where you're going with this too, when are these guys going to have their breakthrough? It's been a few races that we've seen these guys really be super competitive and along the lines of race winning potential. And I feel like Durheim, speaking really candidly about this, honestly, I feel like Durheim has had more chances, even at the start of the season, especially at Auto Club. That was one of the chances that he really had to shine, and they've fallen through the cracks. They have not been able to close out the deal at the end. But, you know, we're seeing all the same trends right now. Early race speed, showing some really good signs of long-run potential, as we're already almost 10 laps into this event, and they haven't exactly lost the front runners. So, I don't know, Andrew. We got to wait and see when they're finally going to have that late race speed. And we got a first caution, spin, turn 2.
And DeTalent's involved. He's got heavy damage. Isaiah Watrous might have just gotten through. Josh Adams is in the wall. The big one, though, the 12. He's around, and there are more involved. Joseph Andujar has stopped with him. Big trouble here early in this race. 240 miles, a long time to be racing, and you don't want to see cars torn up in the first 20, but let's take a look back briefly at what just happened between these guys over in turns 1 and 2. Here's Andujar, but this starts with the 12. A little farther up. He's racing with Brian Jones and Jourdain White. And Jourdain just tagged him. And again, this is kind of, I think, the learning curve for the young Jourdain White. I could already tell you just from that look, Zach, it's not intentional, but you got to give a little more room in these cars, especially with this field. That's unfortunate.
This is going down into turn 1 once again. Better look at it right here. Yeah, he expected Rochelle to turn in a lot sooner than he did, and the outside line was going to open up for him a lot sooner. You saw Nick Hom get a little bit of a piece of that as well, but I know what Jourdain was going for there, and you can more so see it with his onboard. He sees the 12 turn in, he sees the lane open up, he wants to go for it, he knows he's going to have that run on the outside line, he just didn't time it too well.
Yeah, I mean, again, I credit that to Jourdain being younger and still newer to this field, still learning these guys, their tendencies a little bit, but the 12 just trying to take his normal entry into the corner. Jourdain drove a little bit deeper. let's be honest, it's in the first 10 laps. I think you got to cut the guy a little more of a break there. I want to get one more look at how the 29 and 07 got in this. The talent's a little farther back. He's in that 29 this evening. Jourdain's driven that car as well. That was back at Pocono, I think, but the talent gets the wall a little bit on entry. How does he get in this? I mean, absolutely nowhere to go in the wall. Shears the left front off. You see the 23 get some contact as well. And then, boy, just unfortunate scenes for these guys here early in this race. And this will bring everybody down the pit lane except for Brian Jones. He stays out on the racetrack even after Gladgelich hit the pit lane. This does give us a Vincent Arthur pit stop under this yellow. He comes in, grabs service, and Zach, he has taken that spot away from Dalton Tucker. I don't want to call it a lead right now because they're going to restart behind the 45, but it may as well be the lead. As these guys pace around under caution, the 45 will be the one car on old tires. There is a driver or two. Dustin Kleva has taken just 2 tires, and he might not be alone. I'm scouring through the field. It looks like everybody else actually has taken 4, or in the case of Brian Jones, no pit service for the number 45 under this yellow. Kleva will restart about at 11th spot, and then a handful of drivers through the pit lane for service. There's one of them, Rochelle in the 12. Hom in the 88 is exiting after some extended service in the number 88 car. There's Watrous. He got some damage fixed, it looks like, in the number 40 potentially. And then Josh Adams. He will not be making it back onto the racetrack anytime soon, unfortunately. Neither will the 29 of the Talent or the 07 of Andujar. And just like that, quickie yellow, we're going to go back racing into turn 1. Big restart for the couple right behind. Caution, we're stacking them up. Jourdain White involved again. This time, Caden Henry Oaks and Nick Geilis involved as well. Just trying to get back green. We've already stacked them right back up. A look back for those drivers. There was a stack up farther up. The 28 grabs the brakes. The 31 gets into him. And then Kite gets into the 31. You saw Caden Henry Oaks flying in there in the 5. He got hit from behind as well. Let's see where he was. He is back behind the 10. Driven this evening by Blake Hoppy. You see the checkup there initially. Some more checkup once this all happens. And Senior tags the 5 around. He gets parked on the hood there of Geilis Machine. But where does that checkup start is what I'm curious about. A little farther up. Looks like Brady Motes was given some room up to the 18. And that's where it starts. And you see how it just gets bigger. Was there another checkup? No, not really. So it seems like it started with Motes not giving too much room, rather, to the cars ahead. He packs up to the 18. That checks everybody up. You see the 9 as well. He checks up briefly. And, I mean, it's small checkups. Housden might have been the other checkup that led to that. Here we go. One more look. This is from high above. Watch the 15. That's Ryan Housden. We saw the checkups beforehand. You'll see he checks up briefly. Scavnicki checked up big time. Geilis checked up big time as well. And this is a skill that, I'm going to be honest, in my nearly 10 years of iRacing, I still have not figured out great. I typically give a lot of room on restarts too. These guys leaving the room kind of bit them. You see the little gaps throughout the field. Geilis, he had a lot more room to the 34, but he got on the brakes to be careful, and that's fine. But sometimes it will come back and bite you like it does right there. It's hard to know exactly where the front of your car is without actually being in the car. Being in the sim and trying to guess where the nose ends and the other car's rear bumper begins is just a little bit tricky, but as far as the drivers involved in that, Caden Henry Oaks looks okay in the number 5. Belajulich, he's got some damage on the right front, unfortunately. Rochelle is getting more repairs. Jordan White's car looks okay. And then Nick Gillis was the other one that got a lot of nose damage out of that. It looks a lot better, I will say. It looks nearly factory, but the hood doesn't quite line up around all of the bumper and fenders. And Nick Hom is back down the pit lane as well in the number 88. We'll line these guys back up. This time, you'll see a couple of cars on the inside lane. That'll be Jordan White in the 31. He's 1 lap down, along with Nick Gillis in the 28. Also, 1 lap down. Of course, a throwback to old NASCAR restarts, where they would restart single file with lapped cars on the inside lane. This is before the double file restarts began in 2009. So, 10% of the way through the race, we will give this another go. Hopefully it goes a little better at the front and back of the field and everywhere in between. Brian Jones into the restart zone. Green flag again in Joliet. Off turn 4, Brian Jones sinks down through the top 10. You see Arthur take over the race lead of the battle for second spot. Conover and Tucker going at it. So a couple of early setbacks for some of the fields here, Zach. Even the restart issues there, caution to go. Tucker now falling back slightly on the outside line, but getting back into a rhythm here early.
Yeah, just settling back in and finding the smoothness in the bumps. Tucker's settling in right behind Durheim here. I thought he was going to get right up on his bumper on corner exit, but wasn't quite there. Takes a look to the inside as Conover sets the quickest lap of the race so far. Now on that quarter panel, Tucker still taking a look. Not there yet. I almost sound like I'm spotting here. 1 back, 2 back, looking top side, not there. Run your line, your corner, clear.
And so single file through most of your field, of course. With these single file restarts, it's a lot easier to keep it that way, but look at these guys, 3 wide anyways. Housden down low, Senior through the middle, Skavnicki up top in that 38 car. You know, I thought about actually talking to him for pre-race today. I don't know why, but this race today felt like a race that might go well for Skavnicki. I'm not saying he's going to win the thing, but maybe a top 10 is in store for the 38 car. I don't know. Just one of those gut feelings that I randomly get. I've got a feeling about that 38 car here tonight, and he has got a lot going on in front of him, including the lap 31 of Jordan White right there in the middle.
Inside line is definitely moving for Senior. He's caught up to the inside of Jordan White, but Jordan is really holding tough out there. He's trying to make it work. Little right there. The hole was open, and it closed ever so quickly for that 34 car, and he is right on the back bumper of Jordan White. Johns is trying to move forward, but Jordan is just right there in his path, and he's not able to get by him. Now he finally gets rolling, gets by the 31 through into turn 1. Now he's going to try to make a move here on Kite.
So some great battling here in the midfield, and there's that 89 of Corey Mott that we talked about at the grid. The paint scheme has loaded. It seems like everybody's paint schemes have now loaded into the field here, so thank goodness for that. But there you see the number 89. He's on the inside of Caden Henry Oaks, and it's good to see just a little more variety out there in the field. Some cars that look like they are underfunded in the case of the 89 there for Corey Mott. We almost had a couple of special entries in here this evening. One of them out in YouTube chat, that's Rusty Rafferty. He was almost in the 27 car. and Ben Kinney almost in the 72, but unfortunately they just couldn't quite get into the session in time. Ben Kinney, of course, an anchor actually at his local news station up in New York, and then Rusty Rafferty apparently not having a good night on the ISP side, so hate that they couldn't make it, but we have something in store. I think we're going to start to see some of the Whiplash Racing guys from other leagues and just some of our guys that run other leagues in general entering in a couple of cars later on this season, hopefully targeting a full-time entry or two next year in 2027. I can't tell you more than that, Zach, but I am excited if everything goes to plan.
All I can say is we're cooking. Huh? Yeah? No? Too much? Not
Hopefully.
enough?
That's the hope. Again, still trying to get things figured out. I think it'll go well. I mean, if you're interested in racing for us, by all means, let us know. We're going to try, like I said, we have the 3 guys from BRB, mostly, that kind of want to run. I guess the 2, really. Kenny and Rafferty. We also want to get our friend Chris Winstone, who's been running some ARN races, actually the rest of the season now, and some other races that we've been hosting and such, trying to get him in. But, you know, for that matter, even if you don't want to run for us, there are always opportunities to get in and race for owners points in NORA. You can always pull a one-off entry like we're seeing several of this evening. It'll be a lot of fun. These races, they are very enjoyable to commentate. I can only imagine what it's like to drive in them, and maybe even something special coming up at Daytona. We'll see. But battle for first. How about that? Vincent Arthur, Josh Conover. Oh, loose is the 48. He said earlier he doesn't like a loose race car anymore on this new wheel and wheelbase. That was a nice save there, but you heard the tires squeal from underneath him in protest of how he took that corner. Now he goes up to the top side of the racetrack, trying to get the easier entry and exit and carry that momentum around the racetrack. I think the bottom, sure, it's faster, Zach, if you can manage your tires right. But the top side feels like the way to go to kind of keep your car in one piece, even if it eats tires a little more on occasion. I really think that's the better place to be for battles more often than not.
It's like I was telling you, Andrew. It's going to start getting loose. You're going to see these guys getting loose, and the track and the cars are building loose. It's just going to keep building that way over the course of the run as Durheim gets a little love tap to the wall, I believe that was. Tucker to the inside, looking to make the move. The outside line is going to be pivotal. Yes, pivotal in terms of defense of position at the moment. You can see just how much Durheim pulled on Tucker, about 2 car lengths right there. And now you've got Malone and Baumler coming into play. Look at this, Andrew. You got 4 cars. You can put them under a blanket right now. And Malone's got a big run off of turn number 4. He is closing in on the 3 car of Tucker, looking to the inside in turn 1.
Great battles in the top 10. Malone on the inside of potential championship favorite Dalton Tucker, who grabs the wall there off of turn number 2. Baumler just waiting in the wings as well as these guys fire off into turn number 3, chasing the car number 3.
I thought Baumler was going to tap the wall right there. He came off of turn number 4 aggressively. Looking down to the bottom.
Inside, painting that white line, or at least trying to. Here comes a run from Malone. That's what I'm talking about, Zach. It feels like it's a little easier to run and clearly works nicely in a battle situation like this. But you see now Tucker saw that. He stays high, makes Malone go down on the inside lane. And now Tucker's going to have the run off the corner. That's the art of battling here at Chicagoland. That's a bit of what you saw even in 2018 between the Kyles, Larson, and Busch. Remember, it was Larson throwing the slider, wasn't it, in 1 and 2? And he got up into the wall, barely got clear. So Kyle Busch just set the heck out of him down in turn 3. But you know what? That was one of the most classic moments in NASCAR history, honestly. Had a great call by Dale Jr., and it was a lot of fun to watch.
You know, it's going to sound really stupid, but I just thought of a funny meme. You know, Really, I'm trying to think of it in my head, but it's like Dale Jr. A lot of people keep throwing around the pancakes meme for the IHOP commercial. Real ones know about Dale Jr. calling slide job at Chicagoland. That's the real line, as Josh Conover gets loose off of turn number 2, ripping the top side.
I think you had a great concept there, Zach. But I gotta be honest.
The concept was there. The delivery was not.
The delivery fell flatter than a pancake.
Don't ever use pancakes to diss me ever again, sir. I love pancakes too much.
There's about as many holes in your joke as there are in a waffle. Here we go. Chase Durheim.
Oh!
He's starting to catch up to the 48 of Josh Conover, who, by the way, was on the back bumper of Vincent Arthur a couple of laps ago into turn number 1. He has since fallen back slightly. It's like the 48 can get there. He just can't quite get over the precipice and keeps falling back down the mountain slightly. So Chase Durheim kind of waiting, seeing what he can do. Fastest in practice, this number 16 car, so we've got to watch out for him. I'm surprised, honestly, we have not, and we keep saying this, right, but I'm still so surprised we have not seen the 16 go to victory lane just yet. You see just the stats from this evening. Started 3rd, currently 3rd, as high as 3rd, low of 6th. That doesn't tell you the full season stats. We're still working on a good way to present that, but I can fire it up on another monitor here quickly. I mean, it's a solid line of stats. Just can't get one of these races to go his way the whole way through, so... pulling up the stats, let me select just Chase Durheim here, and let me see, 16 stars, that's every race so far this season. He's got the 1 pole, average start of 7.8, the average finish is 12.6. I mean, he has speed, it just is not working for him by the end of the night. Average running position, 7.3, that's pretty solid. He's got the 5 top 5s, 9 top 10s, but then it starts to go sour. 66 incidents. It just, I don't know, man. He's led 14% of the laps he's run. That's 354 so far. That is just 90 shy of all laps led by Josh Conover. That's not bad.
There is still a lot to be desired. Still a lot of races left to run. I think everyone's going to have their time to shine. And speaking of time to shine, Andrew, Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson had a plethora of battles throughout their time on the NASCAR Cup Series circuit. And, well, we're seeing teammates go at it once again. Conover and Arthur continue to stay within striking distance of each other. Conover gets close, makes a little mistake, falls back, resets, refocuses, does it again, and, well, it's rinse and repeat as the race continues on. Durheim's reeling himself into this mix, and Greg Biffle was among one of the drivers that stuck it to the Hendrick Motorsports guys, and, well, they're doing just that. Trying to get up there and run with them and potentially win this race.
I'm looking through some stats, and you know what, Zach? I actually cannot believe this. In all of Jimmy Johnson's wins, not a single one ever came at Chicagoland Speedway.
Really?
Jeff Gordon got that one in 06 that you mentioned earlier. But never did the 48... Well, I guess... Did the 48... Or no, it was the 88 when Bowman won here, right? So I guess this 48 is still looking to win at Chicagoland Speedway because Alex Bowman won here in the number 88 car when Jimmy Johnson was still racing in the number 48. But the 48 has never won at Chicagoland in NASCAR Cup Series competition. Boy, Conover would really like to change that, at least for the NORA side here this evening. Kevin Harvick won the first couple of races here, followed by Ryan Newman in 2003. It was Tony Stewart in 2004, Dale Jr. in 05, then Jeff Gordon in 06. Tony Stewart won here in 2007. I'll only go to 2010 here. It was Kyle Busch in 08, Mark Martin 09, and David Rudeman in 2010. So definitely still a strong list of names, but never did Jimmy Johnson win here in the number 48.
You know, the more I think about it, that was a surprise win in 2010 for Rudeman. Not a lot of people were expecting that.
Wasn't it? No, that was Charlie. It was not rain shortened. That was the one that he
Yeah,
won
that's the Colt
randomly.
600.
That was the one he won randomly that was
Yes.
actually not range shortened. Battle for second. Durheim bringing it to the 48 car now. I don't think Biffle ever won here either, but I can tell you those Roush Fords certainly were better here than the Hendrick Chevrolets. It felt like on average. There was, of course, that great finish between Kenseth and Gordon, as you mentioned a little while ago. Matt Kenseth felt like he was always a threat to win at this racetrack.
Great finish. Sir, he dumped the man.
It was a great finish.
Oh boy. Oh boy. You know, we keep getting into these conversations when pulling up NASCAR statistics as the battle heats up between these guys for second. Conover looking around the outside once again as Durheim got a little loose off 4, but you know, we keep talking about these weird NASCAR statistics, and if you think back just a few years, Andrew, whoa, actually, like 10 years. Oh my goodness, we're old. I'm 25 and I'm old. But you think back a few years, and at a point in time, nobody had won at Kentucky other than Matt Kenseth, other than Brad Keselowski and Kyle Busch. They were trading wins year after year as Trenton Johns is on the apron heading to the pit lane.
Yeah, slow car here, the 34, very, very slow. Going to hit the pit lane. This is a little bit random, I feel. I mean, it's, I guess, not too early. We have run 45 laps in the race now. This feels a slightly early, and I'm looking back at our production notes from the guys in the league. I mean, this is on target, I suppose. Slightly early for a pit stop, but if he's trying to undercut a little bit, it could still work. So it's an on-schedule pit stop, just early. He arrived early, so considering all the severe weather in the Joliet and Chicago area, I think they'll take an early arrival for once. Usually a lot of flights in and out delayed by storms. By the way, some storms across the United States this evening. Again, be safe. We talk about that every so often through the summer. Be safe. Pay attention to the weather. Get weather alerts wherever you are. John's back on the racetrack. Guyless coming down the pit lane in the number 28. He got that damage in that incident with Jourdain White and Caden Henry Oaks on that restart a little while ago. So our first green flag pit stops beginning here this evening, Zach. When do the leaders make their way down the pit lane? We've seen a lot of fuel saving lately. Could they still be in that mode, or do they decide to pit on the earlier end of the spectrum? Now is when that window opens. We were told 35 to 38 laps. This is now 37 for these guys, so we really expect them in at any point in time. They would have had that opportunity to save under the second caution, and most of these guys did pit under the first caution. So they can probably go closer to 40, maybe even 42 to 43. Beyond that, I don't know. So that would put them pitting about lap 50, 51. And here's Baumler. They'll be followed by Cody Anderson. It seems like they pit together a lot. And they'll be followed by Corey Mott in the number 89. We'll see if he gets out and changes the tires himself. So far, no. It looks like the iRacing pit crew will take care of it there for Corey Mott. Baumler in. Should be 4 tires and fuel across the board. I wouldn't expect anything different this early in the race. And here comes Conover. So first of our true leaders going to hit the pit lane at number 48.
This is going to make Vincent Arthur really have to respond about... Oh man, I don't know where I'm going with that sentence for a minute.
No,
but
I
Vincent Arthur
agree.
will have to start looking at responding.
Yeah, I agree. I think
the
24
sentence was
has
coming
gotta
out,
pit.
but the words were not wording.
I think Vincent's got a pit here. If not this lap, certainly the next lap. He's going to go one more.
He's staying out.
I'm a little surprised by that. Let's take a look then at pit entry. Here comes Tucker in the 3 car. That's important. Absolutely. Now, if you're the top 5, top 10, you've got to pit next lap. There you see the 15, 25, 42, the 5, all coming in right there.
A big send by Matthew George.
No, Corey Harville this evening in that number 25 car. Subbing in for owner's points.
Correct. Thank you.
And I'm telling you, the 24 has got a pit. Here he is. Vincent Arthur gonna hit pit lane. It's tricky to hit the pits here under green. He does it. He'll be joined by Durheim. Here comes everybody else. Moats. I see Malone. I see Tubb. I see the 10 or 7 rather of Norman. Seniors in that group.
Speeding penalties.
Oh boy, who?
Potentially Brady Moats.
That would be a huge issue for the number 8 if he does have one. We'll see if he stays in the stall a little bit extra here. You see everybody getting tires. I love this shot. Everybody getting tires, getting fuel. Does the number 8 pull away with the rest of these guys? There goes Arthur. There goes Durheim. How about the number 8? Is he going to be held in the lane? No. Down and away for the Budweiser 8. He's going to have to race these guys off the pit lane. It's very close, but he'll get out ahead of Tubb. This leaves Kleba on the racetrack a little bit longer. He has gone the longest of anybody so far. 42 laps. Fulham, his teammate, has pitted. So I would expect Kleba in this lap, maybe the next. As he works his way around turns 3 and 4, now he will hit the pit lane. Nick Hom will be the next.
Oh.
He pitted under that second yellow, if you recall, so he's got a little extra fuel in the tank. He's going to go around and try to lead himself a lap. He will. That's a bonus point for the number 88.
And went back and looked at the pit entry, Andrew, and it looks like everybody made it in clean, just barely made it to the pit lane speed limit for Brady Moats and the rest of those drivers. Speed limit here is 50 miles an hour. Moats was at 51, just barely pulling in at 50 miles an hour at the line. So
and here comes...
He got it!
Here come Jordan White and Nick Hom. We'll see if they can make it down at pit speed. Hom a little early on the exit, actually. He got down to speed a little too early. Now he's sitting in first gear. It's a lot of revs. I wouldn't want to be in first gear in or out. That seems like a lot of RPMs to be turning, but here comes Vincent Arthur around turn 3. He'll get the lead back into turn 1. He has held on to the prospective lead over Josh Conover and Chase Durheim. Dalton Tucker sitting in 4th, and Kevin Baumler will round out your top 5 here momentarily. Anderson did benefit, I think, from that slightly early stop. He has exited the pit lane. He is now 7th, or 6th rather. It's Malone 7th, Moats, Jones, and Tubb, your top 10. That's where the action is picking up. You see Moats and Jones racing. Jones down low. Here comes Tubb. So things are picking up.
Side up off of 4.
Oh, look at that right behind these guys. 3 wide across the stripe.
3 wide.
Trenton Johns in there, the 40 of Isaiah Watrous, Dustin Kleba, and the 3, Ronnie Norman in the 7. He's a potential chaser here this season. He's in the middle of all of it. He gets through to 13th as Johns and Watrous battle right behind him. Norman going to go high, Watrous goes low. 13th spot for the 7 car this evening. One of the better runs he's had lately. It has been a summer to forget so far for the number 7. Just has not had great pace, and he's been kind of floating around. Better finishes, I think, than he's been running. So he puts the races together on the strategy side, but I have not seen much of the 7 towards the front as of late. I desperately want that to change for Ronnie. I'd love to see the 7 contend for some wins, but maybe just struggling with this car a little bit at this current point in time. You see they have left the 34 of Johns. He did pit the earliest, if you recall. He pitted 13 laps to go once they hit the stripe. It'll be 7 laps to go for the 2 cars in front of him, Housen, and actually 9 for Mott. Johns gets into Mott. What a save into turn 1. That looked exactly like Jordan White hitting Kyle Rochelle earlier, except there wasn't a massive crash afterwards.
What an amazing save. I'm even hearing it in the driver channels. They are saying it is an absolutely amazing save. That was beautiful.
Oh no! Mott's gonna get the 25 and they crash. Front straightaway. Massive hit for the 25. Corey Harville will take an early exit out of Chicagoland, it seems. The car's still running, and he's gonna try to bring it back around. That would be a day ender in a real car, but boy, the car a little bit more sturdy here on iRacing. Nosed into the wall. And so really that goes back to the incident, the contact there into turn 1. Let's take a look at that first. Let's keep in mind Trenton Johns and Isaiah Mott, Corey Mott rather, both the 34 and 89 in their first starts of the season. And Johns just barely gets the 89 car there. That's surprising to me as well because Johns pitted so much earlier than Mott. And down the front stretch here, Zach, I think it's just a miscalculation by the 89 car.
This is up here rolling off a 4. You could say miscalculation. You could say a little free off turn number 4.
It might have been, yeah, slightly free.
That's a tight one right there.
Honestly, I think he was tight. I think he was tight off the corner, so he had a lot of wheel in it, and was slow to get that wheel back out. That's why he careened down the racetrack briefly into the right rear of the 25. And it sends Matthew George's usual machine around. George not here this evening, so Harville fills in that number 25. Heads up by Cody Smith and Donald Kite to miss this. That was close for each of them. And there you see the hit for the 25 this evening. Trying to get those owner's points for the Hendrick Motorsports stable. Unfortunately, there won't be many to be had now for that machine. A lot of cars actually, well, no, everybody pitted except for the 88 of Nick Hom. That said, not everybody took 4 tires. Tucker and Senior out early on 2. Everybody behind them takes 4, except for Scavnicki and Henry Oakes. And Zach, we talked about the potential of Tucker taking this points lead away. Is this maybe Hunter Sr. firing back a little bit, trying to make sure he stays towards the front of the field? Time will tell. We'll get lined up this lap and go back racing the next. Tom will stay out and lead us to the green. As we work through this caution period, I want to give a big thank you to our partners here with the series, Harpoon Design, Sparks Builders, Dark Star Garage, and of course the National Oval. Is it National Oval Racing Association? Josh, pound it in my head a little more. Honestly, put it right under the letters. That'll help me. But I do want to mention, actually, for Harpoon Design, Zach, Brantley Rodden, that's Harpoon Design, that's the guy who runs it all over there. Brantley Rodden was the most favorited Trading Pates painter in 2026 Season 2 on iRacing. So he had the most favorites on all of his paint schemes that he uploads, and of course, a lot of the official NASCAR ones. But all those favorites got him the most favorited creator on Trading Paints for 2026 Season 2 on iRacing and Trading Paints. That's pretty cool. I mean, that is really, really cool to be able to say for Harpoon Design and Brantley Rodden. So congratulations to Brantley for that. I don't think it's the first time he's had that. I just happened to notice that earlier today. So I wanted to make sure we got that shouted out. To the inside goes Brady Modes, but otherwise a clean restart. We're back green. And oh my goodness, Nick Geilis, the lap car, got away with the race lead. Here we go, Hom in the middle, Tucker up top, Senior down low, 3 wide for 4th. We are really picking it up into turn 3. Malone down to the inside, Tucker loses the lead. It's going to be Hunter Senior leading off of turn number 4, and this is the gaggle following him.
Hanover makes a move down to the bottom. He gets underneath the 88 of Hom. As look at that, Durham gets a big run off of 4, clears the 88, they get single file. Senior now looking topside, trying to hang on to that race lead. That 28 car in front of Geilis is going to make it a little difficult to get some clean air on the nose, but Senior is working to the best of his ability to keep it moving forward. Tucker with a big run on the top side, Andrew. Here he comes off of 4. He's going to cross him up down to the bottom, but Senior goes low to defend. Can't get there, side by side, going down into 1.
And there goes Dalton Tucker right to the bottom. Hunter Senior keeps it up top. You saw in 3 and 4, Guileless went down low. That hurt the 4 car that time. Guileless went low again. That hurts the 3. Guileless is 2 laps down currently. We go a 3rd lap down if these two pass him once again. Battle continues between these two for the race lead. Tucker got the nose ahead down low briefly. Guileless in the wall. Watch out! And he will fall back 3 laps down plus a handful as he has got a ton of damage. That might be a caution, Zach. He's not getting going very quickly. He has stopped.
He stopped. He towed.
No yellow. That was honestly pretty heads up of him. That was knowing iRacing's code pretty well. He waited for the whole field to pass, then stopped as Senior grabs the wall, and there goes the 3. Right back to the point. Dalton Tucker leading once again at Chicagoland. Hunter Senior going to fall down to 5th.
Senior lost a lot of ground right there. It's nothing that he can't get back, but that is definitely going to hinder his chances of getting back to the front. Tucker has been so fast, so it could be that potential that once he's got the clean air, he's going to start driving away again. So the 3 car once again out in front. Malone, Durham, and Conover now separating Senior from getting up there to fight for the race lead again. Durham looking on the back bumper of the 18 of Malone, going down into 1. Stays in the middles. Conover goes with him, gets a little bit of dirty air and loses some ground.
A little farther back, you see the 88 of Nick Hom, who has dropped through the top 10 a little ways after restarting on old tires. Tubb goes to the inside of that 88. You see Moats looking around the outside with Kleba there in tow as well. Check up there at 9. Tubb got loose off the corner. I got to give it to Rusty Rafferty out in the YouTube chat. You know, Father's Day was yesterday. He is in dad joke spirit for sure. He's definitely warmed up, I suppose, but calling it a ham sandwich there on the restart. That was pretty good. Uh-oh, in the wall. Watchers in the 40. He's going to check up, drop a couple of spots. Rusty, get the joke back out. Another ham sandwich. This one with Budweiser and Tide Pods. I don't recommend it.
This is not 2017.
I may as well be. Here we go. Josh Conover to the inside. He's going to make the pass here on Chase Durham into turn number 3. Problems deeper in the field. These guys are all over. My goodness. What is happening here?
Gaggle.
Hans just trying to handle the race car. Here comes the Jim Beam 7 of Ronnie Norman. And they all string back out.
Ryan Jones was right there on the back bumper of the 32 of Tubb. Everything's going to work itself out now. Houston's looking to get in the middle here.
There's Skavnicki back there with Trenton
on the back
Johns.
bumper.
There's a lot going on here at the Chicagoland Speedway currently. A lot happening as Kleba gets around the 40 car. That is for 9th. That moves Watrous back to 10th, and we are not done up front either. You see Conover's gotten ahead of the 16 of Durham. This has allowed Malone to get away a little bit. Hunter Senior there in the conversation. Baumler and Anderson are racing. This is for 6th and 7th. This is one of the busier oval races we've seen from this field in a long time.
They certainly got their elbows out tonight.
We have even got a battle 5 laps down. We just had a pass. Corey Harville has gone by Kyle Rochelle. That said, Rochelle now pitting in the number 12. So he's coming back in for some more service. He has got 6 laps. The next car behind that is Nick Guileless, who is now out of the race at the moment. Well, Guileless saying on YouTube it's going to be a DNF. So I think he might be able to continue. He thinks maybe not. So could be a DNF there for the 28. Also, how about the 24? What even happened to him, Zach? Was there maybe a speeding penalty somewhere that we didn't catch?
I'm not sure. I was just looking at it and thinking, what did I miss?
Oh, crashing!
Oh, spinning, turn 1!
Hom in the wall, Caden Henry Oaks in trouble. He gets slammed, the 10, straight through the back end of the number 5. Jordan White is involved. It is a parking lot, a yard sale, a junkyard in turns 1 and 2. Blake Hoppy is destroyed. Caden Henry Oaks doesn't look much better. Nick Hom, at least, pulls away with all fenders on the car. Jordan White, not so lucky. He's got no front bumper. Gladgelich, I think, is okay.
I think the meat on that... I think the meat on that Hom sandwich is a little spoiled now.
Well, it might be the other toppings, because he looks okay. The frosted flakes that came into it on the number 5 car, I don't know about that. Let's see what happened here. Hom and Henry Oaks into turn number 1. 88 in the 5, and we've seen this. That's the 3rd time tonight. Driver just drove it in too deep. Got into the back of another, and thankfully, you look, Nick Hom, you think from there it's an uneventful crash, because nobody hit him, thankfully. But it was not quite the same for the number 5 of Caden Henry Oaks. Brace yourselves. Oh boy. There goes down the racetrack. Boom, there's Jordan White, and then slamming in is the 10. Trouble for those couple of drivers. That is a painful way for each of them to likely go out of the race here this evening. And that's, again, Zach, the 3rd time we've seen an incident exactly like that. I don't know how long the 5 had been behind the 88. He just stayed in the gas too long, and you know, we haven't seen... Oh, man, there's Jordan. Wow. We haven't seen a track like this super recently, where it's decently wide, but also has 2 really good grooves, bottom and top, to where these guys have to lift at different points. But when you're following somebody on the top side, it's probably best, if you're right on the bumper, to lift a little early. I know you want to race them, but Hom lifted, and you see it. Let me slow that back down, actually. I'll go back to the exact same view in a second, because you can see the exhaust backfire out the right side of the car, and that is when he lifts. Let me slow that back down in a second. Watch the right side of the number 88 car, the side closest to the wall. Let's see if it comes through or not. Right there, you see there's that little blue flame. That's him lifting. That's exactly when he lifts, and it's right after that that Caden gets into the back of him and sends him around. Big crash for the number 5, obviously, and let us go through at full speed. It's going to be a big hit. A couple of big ones. Man. Well, not a great showing there for those guys in the midfield, obviously. I mean, it's hard to say anybody did anything wrong there, Zach. Obviously, you know, Caden Henry Oaks is trying to get in the corner as good as he can behind the 88, but it's the 3rd time. Common theme so far this evening is Dalton Tucker, and everybody else has taken service. Tucker, Conover, Malone, Durheim, Senior, Baumley, your top 6. They all take 4 tires. Donald Kite took 2. He'll restart 7th. And then everybody behind that took 4 as well, it looks like. And our top 23 will be in the pacing field, plus a lap car in the 25 of Harville. Everybody else in the garage. A lot of cars out of this one early. Here we go. Restart zone again for Dalton Tucker. This time, no old tires in front of him. A clean racetrack for the 3. Zach, we talk about penalties every so often. We had the one in fantasy for Conover and for Baumler. Well, these guys have penalties if they run through too many pit stalls, if they go down the left side of pit lane a little too long. And it has been a couple of weeks of several pit penalties for Jordan White. And, you know, I know we're pretty deep in the race here, Zach, but part of missing these crashes, part of not being in them, is having good track position from the jump. He has not been able to qualify for a couple of weeks, and he can't qualify. I checked it yesterday, actually. He can't qualify until August. He's got to wait another month before he can qualify to get a starting spot for one of these races here in NORA. A month and then some. Again, he cannot qualify until August.
I'm sorry, run that by me one more time.
He's got so many pit stop infractions he cannot qualify until the month of August. The very first race in August, I believe, is when he can qualify again. I want to say that's like Pocono again or something like that. Maybe Michigan. It might be Michigan, actually. Looking at the schedule, I think it's Michigan. So it'll be a while.
Who in their right mind would get that many penalties?
You can ask the Jamaican sensation himself as we watch this battle for second. Josh Conover, Jacob Malone going after it. Look at that field off a turn two. A great shot. This racetrack does look really good now that iRacing updated it. I think there's a couple of things they got to go back in and fix up. I saw some flashing on the scoring pylon screen a little while ago, but that looks a whole lot better. Oh, there's an IKEA off turn four. At least the guys that are out of the race can go grab themselves some Swedish meatballs.
I'm sorry, what? An IKEA? We're talking about the furniture store, right?
Have you never been to an IKEA?
No, actually.
Neither have I, but even I know of the Swedish meatballs.
Well, you're also talking to a guy that lives in North Carolina, originally born in Pennsylvania, but lives in North Carolina and doesn't eat Bojangles. So, like...
I can't help you there. That's just good food that you're missing out on willingly.
It's too spicy!
Well, again, I don't know how to help you. But I guess next time you're in Charlotte, maybe tomorrow, you can head down to the track a little bit early, or I guess head down to Charlotte a little bit early and hit the IKEA down there because there is one in Charlotte. Battle for third goes the way of Chase Durheim. Malone falls to fourth, and Hunter Sr., he's hanging on here in the top five. You know, there was some razzle-dazzle in the group chats earlier this season about him maybe getting some of the wins he has by luck. He's got three. Daytona, the first of them, Talladega, the most recent, and even just those two. Yeah, they're kind of luck-driven tracks, but the results this season, the points leading, that has not been by luck, and he is showing that again this evening, that they simply are not by luck, because he's running fifth. He, I think, might have got that lap led. Yeah, a few of them. He's running well. If he keeps this up, it'll be another good finish, and he might be able to hang on to that points lead a little bit longer. I think Tucker's still going to take it, but if he can say that he leads half the season in the points, that is huge. Watching on board with Hunter
Sitting here
Sr.
doing math in my head.
Oh boy, I'd love to hear it.
Remind me again how
10
NASCAR
laps ago
tallied
is when they pitted.
points.
Oh, we were on points. That I can tell you
Yeah,
to
I'm
go to
going
Sim
on points
Racer
right
Hub.
now.
You can go to Sim Racer Hub and find the points they get. I don't know off the top of my head.
I'm
But I
trying
will
to
say,
remember
look at
how
that.
the points system was tallied.
Pass for second. Chase Durheim grabs that spot away from Josh Conover. Great battle back here as well. Brian Jones, Vincent Arthur. A couple of guys that we expect towards the front. And, I mean, Arthur's got some laps led today, but down in 10th right now as he tries to recover from something. I would assume a speeding penalty. He's had a few of those this season. It would not be the first of them, that's for sure. As he works to try and get away from Brian Jones, who now has Donald Kite underneath him. See Halston and Todd right behind. They're side by side at the turn number one. I'm going back actually and looking through my fantasy picks for the day because I couldn't recall exactly who I took. I'm looking just at everybody's picks. Mine, unfortunately, one of them not here this evening. Jake Christenberry couldn't make it. He's not feeling well. Hopefully he feels better soon. I guess I should have saw that and changed my pick, but I had Tucker, Christenberry, and Rochelle. Rochelle having bad luck. He is out in 29th. Dalton Tucker at least is leading. Unfortunately, Zach, I can't give myself the powers to edit my team. If I could, I would, that's for sure. Because it is not going well for me right now.
I think I have figured it out. So it goes in intervals of 5.
That's what I thought, and then it becomes intervals of 4, and then intervals of 3, and then I think of 2 at the end.
Yes. So, depending on where the two front runners finish, considering they're 10 points in between each other, let me make sure that I'm looking at that correctly. Yes. No.
51
No,
separating Senior
51.
from Tucker going into tonight.
So, if Tucker wants to pass Senior in the points, if he were to win the race and get 180 points, we're talking no bonus points here, okay? He gets the 180 points. Senior can finish no lower than 11th. Because if he finishes 11th and Tucker wins the race, they're separated by 1 point. He keeps the points lead. Bonus points would more than likely factor into that due to laps led, so he could potentially take the points lead. So we're looking at a top 10 or better if Tucker wins the race to hang on to the points lead.
And there you see Hunter Senior currently running in the 5th spot, right ahead of Kevin Baumler, following this battle for 3rd between Conover and Malone. We'll see what can go on in that points fight, but at the moment, maybe the best battle on your racetrack currently. This is 3rd and 4th. Josh Conover trying to hang on to it over Jacob Malone. I will say, for the most recent comments around in YouTube chat, Trenton Johns is still in the race. He's had a rough night, though. He is down in 16th. Make that 17th, as two-time winner this season, Dustin Kleba, pulls around the 34 car. So Trenton definitely getting a warm welcome of sorts to the series. But you know what, Zach, still up 12 spots from the start of the race. So even just on the attrition factor, it's going well for the 34 in that regard anyway. We'll see if he's able to pull back up a little farther. He's been up as high as 13th in this race, but we'll see as the night goes on. Cody Smith just ahead. He's racing with Donald Kite. That's a battle currently for the 14th position. Smith in the wall. That's going to give the spot to Kleba. And now Kleba goes to work on the number 21. Battle for 6th. Hunter Senior falling back. Baumler goes by. Here comes Moat on the outside. So just as quickly as we sung his praises, Zach, the 4 car is headed the wrong direction.
That he is, and I was trying to think of a really funny joke or a funny pun because you talked about a ham sandwich. Well, there's a bunch of red cars, so I was trying to think of something ketchup related. Didn't quite pan out. As Senior takes another look underneath Brady Moats. Can't quite get it done. That outside line still prevailing. I get the feeling that you are also now trying to think of a ketchup-related joke for all of the red cars.
Actually, this was my first chance since the broadcast started to look at my phone. And I just happened to see the text from Caden. Caden Henry Oaks, that is, in the 5, who is actually back in the pit lane. He pulled it back down and has come back in for service. He's been there now for about 4 minutes. But he just let me know an hour ago, that right before the race started, his chair broke. So he was racing tonight with no back support. I don't know how you do that. I don't know how that happens. I don't know how you manage that. But it's been a rough night for the number 5, and certainly after the hit he had from the number 10, I would imagine there's no back support, that's for sure. I mean, that was a rough one.
I can give him some tips about back support if he wants.
Well, I guess you can also give him a contact for a physical therapist in the Raleigh area, huh?
Yeah. Most definitely.
A little bit of damage there on the right front of Josh Conover's car. In case you're wondering about that inside joke, Zach, you raced down at Cookout Summer Shootout on Tuesday evenings throughout the summer at Charlotte Motor Speedway. They're racing tomorrow. It'll be round 4. Weather willing, I'll say. Local stations are forecasting some weather. National stations and apps, they got a bit of a drier forecast, but Local stations and forecasts look a little wetter. Regardless, you can always support our favorite summer shootout driver, Zach Mertis, in the number 2 by watching on Flow Racing, following his social media, following all of his travels across the country, really just around North Carolina usually. But Zach, we want to support you with your racing. Where can people find you?
Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. I don't have the social media links memorized as well as I do for the Pit.TV social media links, but they are all the same across the board, at least. Zach Mertis, at Zach Mertis on a lot of them. It's a little different on Instagram. It's at Zach Mertis02, because at Zach Mertis was taken, surprisingly. But
Dalton Tucker,
you can always
to the
follow
pit
along.
lane. This is odd.
This is unexpected. Well, same thing as odd, but
So, okay,
more prominent.
this is at 60 to go. Let's do some math here, Zach. 60 to go for Tucker. And he's coming in for service. He's run 24 laps.
This would
24 plus 60.
put him at a one-stop.
24 plus 60 is 84. That's what they would have had since the
84.
last time they stopped. Our runs top out at about 38 laps if it's a green flag run. Almost, you could say probably 40 with a caution. A caution pit stop to save some gas under caution and then take the green. About 40 laps. That puts you about 4 to 5 laps short on fuel. I would not be surprised if we see a couple of these guys try to split it and do the one stop and not take this extra stop that Tucker is taking. But I do expect to see some of these drivers start to follow him. Maybe not this lap like we're seeing here, but I would think soon.
I don't know. I think Tucker has the right idea. I think this is the strategy call. And yes, there will be probably a couple people that'll say, Zach, don't you usually say run it out? Don't you usually say go long? I think this is one of the very few times that I'm actually going to side with the fact of not running long, not running the tank out, and utilizing this type of strategy. I think realistically, it's going to make the most sense over the course of the long run if we stay green.
Cody Anderson hit the pit lane now. Ronnie Norman did pit with the 3 car, so there's Anderson now in the pit lane. Tucker and Norman have taken service. You also see Nick Geilis back down there. He has called it a day. But Caden Henry Oaks, notably, is back on the racetrack. That said, he's in the outside wall currently. The car looks better otherwise. But he is currently 13 laps down. That puts him 8 laps behind Corey Harville in the 25. So not much of anywhere for him to go. Unless there is some significant trouble up ahead. Battle for third. Kevin Baumler has made it around the 48 car for the time being. This is for, again, the 3rd spot. So on this long run, the 48 starting to drop. The 18 is picking up spots. He got by the 48 outright, so it's now Durheim and Malone out front, then Baumler, then Conover and Senior. Also, look at Brady Motes in that number 8 car. Isaiah Watchus right behind him. Both of these guys looking good on a longer run. Especially that number 8. Again, I go back to pre-race. This is where Dale Earnhardt Jr. I'm disappointed that Brady didn't run the paint scheme. But this is where Dale Jr. won in 2005 for the first time. Snapped that winless streak that extended back to his poor finish to 2004. Nearly a championship year for Dale in 04. I mean, that probably his strongest year ever, I would say. Was in chase contention for a lot of 05. Finally got the win here in Chicagoland that year. Can Brady Motes finally break through for a win this evening? I'm looking for it. I would love to see it for the number 8. I don't know that it's going to happen, that's for sure. But he hasn't been running poorly. I mean, top 10 most of the night, it looks like. As low as 15th. Only as high, though, as 5th. And he's hitting the pits. Right to the line. I think he made it in at speed. He's going to bring in Vincent Arthur right behind him. Nick Geilis, by the way, is saying he doesn't think anybody can one-stop the race. This is a little bit early now in the fuel window. This will shorten up those runs to the end, though. About 26 to 27 laps per run from here. As here comes Durheim. He's going to pit. I think if they all have to two-stop, the 3 car has probably got the best strategy. But I really hope at least somebody out there will try to one-stop this race to the end from that last caution.
Well, this is kind of what I was thinking from the get-go, that these guys are just going to end up responding to Tucker's strategy call here, and it's ultimately going to play in his favor in some regard. So he stopped earlier than they did, which means his tires aren't exactly going to be up to par, but a few laps difference can be managed and mitigated.
There you see unlapping himself. So he's back on the lead lap, now 30 seconds behind Malone, the leader. And, I mean, easy math, a pit run takes a lot more than 30 seconds. In fact, the last run down the pit lane for Malone, it was under caution, but it was 38 seconds nearly. So already, not even accounting for time slowing down as there's Malone into the pit lane, not even accounting for entry and exit time, you've got at least 9 seconds on the field when you exit, if you're Dalton Tucker, when they exit, I should say. Given the time to enter and exit, Zach, I'm thinking that sounds more like 45 seconds, or not 45, sorry. An extra 4 to 5 seconds. So that would be, 13, maybe?
In the spirit of the Madagascar paint scheme, I think back to Madagascar Escape to Africa, when they were like 6 to 9 years. 69 years? No, 6 to 9 years. But yes, no, you are correct. It does feel a little bit more like an extra 4 to 5 seconds rather than 45 seconds as we see Kleba in the pit lane.
Kleba's in for service. Malone on exit. Where is he going to be on the racetrack compared to the 3? He's well behind the 24 and the 8, who are already into turn 3. Moat still has that spot over the 24, but you've got to go still a ways up to Tucker. So they're off of turn 4 now. Tucker is in turn 1. So let's do a little fun thing here, Zach. As more hit the pit lane, we've got Baumler and Housden in. That leaves Watrous, Tubb, and Mott your top 3. Conover, I think, is also pitted. Worth noting, the 25 has parked it. Here is the line for Tucker. And we should have had a timer going, but let's just wait for the 8 car even to come around. There's the 8, there's the 24, there's the 18. That's how long it was, as Tucker is now off of turn 2. By the way, Tucker to Durheim, we're looking at about 7 seconds.
And Mott just called out over the driver channels that he will be bringing that 89 car to the pit lane this time.
Tubb is in, Mott gonna follow. So yeah, everybody taking the two-stop strategy. I really do think if this runs to the end, they have all just sat around while Tucker pulled a masterclass of strategy on them, and they didn't even respond. I'm gonna say they didn't, honestly, Zach. They pitted nearly 10 laps later than him. That's not responding to a short pit. That's waiting and running your own strategy.
Well, they're going to have 10 lap fresher tires then. I did say that the tire difference can be mitigated and managed, but that's going to have to be a lot of managing right there out of these guys to see if they can go up there and catch them without burning their stuff up so hard that they mitigate the advantage that they have over him.
Look at it this way too, Zach. I mean, you got Tucker here in the 3. He pitted 14, coming to 15 laps ago. Anderson in the 33 is second. He pitted 3 laps later. So effectively the same strategy as Tucker. He's going to be in the way for these guys trying to come back through on new tires. He could hold them up a little bit as he works through some lap traffic there in Gladulage. You also see Harville back out in the 25 car. He has hit the racetrack once again. He is now 9 laps down to Caden Henry Oaks 12. So now 3 laps between those two drivers. But Anderson there, he's going to be able to hold up the 16 just a little bit. Maybe even the 48, maybe even the 8. As they fill out the rest of your top 5. Senior in 6th. Arthur trying to get by him. He's in 7th. Malone in 8th. Norman has cracked the top 10 tonight. Ronnie Norman into 9th with Brian Jones in 10th. I will say, Most of this top 10 feels like a who's who of the series. Go back to the power rankings. Tucker's leading. Conover not far back. He's in 4th. Durheim is in 3rd. Jones is in 10th. Senior is in 6th. Arthur is in 7th. Housden is a stray runaway. He's down in 15th. Kleva also a bit of a stray. He's in 13th. But then Moats is 5th, and Baumler is kind of bombing right now. He's down in 12th. So aside from those 3 detours, most of the power ranking top 10 is in the top 10 here on the racetrack. It is very much a who's who. Meanwhile, look at this. Malone giving some fight to Vincent Arthur. Go back to the last 2 interviews we've done with Jacob Malone, whether it was from the win at Sonoma last week or even the pre-race interview tonight. He feels like he is kind of fighting an uphill battle on these ovals, but good on the road courses, yet here he is passing one of the series favorites on one of the most classic style ovals. Pass made, that's 7th.
Yeah, I think Malone, I think he's really proven himself today. In terms of overall pace, I will say, he was 2nd on the board during the practice before the race got started. It started pretty decent. Well, actually, let's take a little look at the gander right here. He started 14th. Okay, so it's not bad. Not a bad starting spot for that number 18, but he's done a really fantastic job to keep himself in contention. And honestly, had he shown up for the earlier races, I think he could have been a real contender for the championship right now.
And there he goes, passing our points leader. So he'll get by Hunter Sr. in 3 and 4. He does have better tires than each of those 2 cars, I will say, but not by a terrible amount. Also, Norman. Well, he had a top 10 spot. He is starting to drop. Baumler has just passed him, so Norman down to 11th spot. Kite would be next up. Also, Brad Fulham is starting to drop through the field. He pitted a little bit earlier in that run as well. He pitted 15 laps ago. He is down to 16th. Now, here we go. Here's Durheim on Anderson. That was a relatively quick pass, but Durheim is still 3 seconds back of Tucker, and his tire advantage now is less than half of the run. So he's still got an advantage, but how advantageous will it be? It's a 9-lap advantage currently, 8-lap rather. Go back, though, to the pit window. Tucker is nearly in it. He can pit in 5 more laps and be good to the end. So he could get another leg up on these guys, and then what do? Do they shorten their run and kind of, cut off the benefit of the tires they currently have and get on even footing with him? Well, no, I certainly don't think you'd want to. But then if you run longer, you're allowing him to get farther ahead. They are in a lose-lose, catch-22. They cannot do anything. They need a caution. Everybody in this field needs a caution. There's no winning. Tucker can do whatever he wants here, and whatever he ends up doing, he's got a leg up.
Certainly creates a predicament on...
I guess the one thing he could do that would not be beneficial would be to run this all the way out. He needs to pit somewhat early, certainly before he gets passed, and then as long as it goes green, he's got this in the bag. If there's a caution, it depends on the caution, but yeah, if this goes green, he's got them right where he wants them, all of them. As here's this battle into turn 3. Look at this. Conover, Malone, Moats, Senior, Arthur, all under a blanket.
Senior continues to drop on back. He is in jeopardy when it comes to that points lead. But I'll tell you a lead that's also in jeopardy. Tucker's lead is dropping over these guys. And I'm not just talking about the run up to second position. I'm talking about throughout the top 10. Here's Durheim on board with him, chasing him down within 2 seconds at the moment with 35 laps to go. Now, we talked about it, Andrew. These guys are not good to the end. Tucker is going to have to make one more stop, and everybody else is at least going to have to make one more stop as well. So the question is, how do you respond?
So here's a fun graphic.
Slow on the apron right there as well.
That is the 34 of Trenton Johns. No concern at the moment, but he is hitting the pit lane. Also in the pits currently is the 5 of Caden Henry Oaks once again. But Johns, yep, he has now entered the pit lane. But look at this, the lap time comparison. Last lap, that's what we're looking at really with these guys. Dalton Tucker the leader, Chase Durheim second, and then Malone, he pitted a little bit later in the run, kind of in between Tucker and Baumler, and then Baumler was one of the last drivers to pit. So you can get an idea of how the fall off is holding up for these guys. For reference, Durheim and Malone, Durheim pitted 2 laps earlier than Malone, yet Durheim's out here in clean air, so he's running a little bit faster than the 18 car currently. You know, 2/10 here, 3/10 there, as he's picking up 4/10 or so per lap on Tucker. You can also hear, though, the 16 is squealing tires through the corner. He is pushing. And he's almost as fast as Baumler, I gotta say. Look bottom right. There's the gap from Durheim to Tucker. Last lap was about 3.5 tenths, almost 4 that lap. Again, nearly, well, about 3.5 tenths that he gained. Malone picked it up there. Baumler kind of fell a little bit. Baumler is 9th, catching Hunter Sr. Malone is 5th, racing Josh Conover. That's a little more context as to where these guys are at. Is Tucker pitting? Yes, he is. That'll give him 31 to go. I'm telling you, Zach, this undercut from him, he is going to catch them all once again. It doesn't matter what they do here. There is not a good move for them other than to stay out as long as they can and hope for a caution. And if they don't get it, they're going to lose a ton of time. I mean, no matter what, they're going to lose time.
What if they respond now? What if they respond right now?
Well, then they're still down on them and they have even footing. They can't catch him. We know he's faster on even footing. That's why I was saying it doesn't matter if they pit now or pit later. If it goes green, the 3 wins this race. This is just what happens when you have a guy who is just absolutely the best in the field. Maybe not across all of iRacing, but at least in this car right now, in this league, Dalton Tucker, I'm willing to say it, easily the best in the field. Responding to that pit stop, though, Hunter Sr., John Scavnicki, Cody Smith, and Donald Kite all pit. So pretty much the Juicy crew, the Spider crew, they all come in. And now Durheim's doing it. I'm telling you, Zach, unless you take 2 here, which I guess you could try and do, I don't see a benefit to pitting right now. You're just giving up the tires that you've got. You're going to be even footing with Tucker. I don't see this benefiting them very greatly, as I just saw. There is no nose on the 5 car again, as Durheim and Moats had to adjust in his box. Let's see, Durheim, it's going to be 4. No, 2. 2 for Durheim. So that's the way that this can kind of work. Maybe it's a short-term gain, but long-term, you got to know the 3 is going to pass you. Like, he might even pass him here. Where is Tucker? There's Tucker, top side. Here he comes, and there he goes. Dalton Tucker. Well, I mean, Durham's alongside, but he's got 2 tires, so Tucker's 4. I appreciate the gamble, but there goes Tucker.
I think the benefit here, though, is that they're stuck in some lap traffic. So Brian Jones is right there in front of the 3 of Tucker. No clean air on the nose of that 3 car. And he's still holding tough. Durheim is, that is. Well, he's got to be able to make quick work of these other guys. He has to. Because if Tucker gets anywhere close to 2-3 car lengths pulled in front or separating them with further lap traffic, it negates any advantage that Durheim could have over that 3 car. If he has any to begin with.
There's Anderson.
It's Arthur, Cody Anderson out of the pit lane.
Yep, Arthur there as well. He gets passed up big time. Arthur took 2 as well, and you still see how far back he's going to drop. He's not even up to speed yet. There he is in the back straightaway. As Tucker and Durheim are into the corner. This might be an opportunity for Chase. He's on the outside of the 3 car. Used Housden as a bit of a pit there. I've never seen it done that way, but how about this? to the stripe. That would have been Durheim. Unfortunately, there's 25 to go. At least, unfortunately for him.
The two tires might start working into his favor. Clears. Tucker gets a little loose, and now that's going to put the fight on.
They are right in between the leaders, Baumler and Kleba right now. You got to be careful.
And Baumler just called out over the driver channel. He will be pitting this time. Little bit of a tight squeeze right there. Tucker gets on by, right to the back bumper of Durheim. So this is your effective race for the lead right now. They've got their laps back. They're in front of Kleba. How does this all work out? Now they're in front of Malone. They're up back inside the top 10.
Malone also took 2. Arthur took 2. Senior took 4. Anderson took 4. Motes, Conover, Norman, Skavnicki, Kite, Fulham all took 4 tires. Oh,
waited too
Tucker
long
got
to do
way
it.
free off the corner.
That's a mistake you did not want to see out of the 3 car. Kleba's going to go on by and put him a lap down. If the caution comes out right now, that's a disadvantage to Tucker. He gets it right back. Clean and quick, though.
Let's just look at this. Just the last lap for those two. Hang on, that's the wrong one. Hang on, let's pull this one up. Durheim last lap, 31.222. You see Tucker 8/10 slower, and the gap now 5/10. So he gained a good bit of it back there in 3 and 4. Now that he's getting in cleaner air, not clean yet, but cleaner. And that lap, Tucker's still slow, about 4/10 slower. Oh, that's right. It's tracking Gladulich, not Durheim. The gap to Durheim is be 1.3 seconds. Wait for it. Right there. 1.4 even now. He's still losing time.
This is not good for Tucker.
Zach?
Watching this race slip out of his fingers.
Zach?
Yes?
Look at the pit time for Tucker. I think he might have taken 2.
Hold on.
Go back and review if you
How
can.
did
It was
Durheim-
9 laps ago.
What's the lane? Let me see the lane time. For Durheim. 2 seconds quicker in the lane time.
But a 4-tire stop for
And
Gladys, for
2 seconds
example,
quicker in the box.
a 4-tire stop is always 13 or 14. And this gaggle is crazy. 4 wide off the corner. Watch out as they split around the 20 of Gladys. Watchers nearly in the wall. Holy cow, Jacob, hang on. The Drift King does it.
A wild mess right there. The thing that I'm looking at right now is that compared overall, Durheim was 4 seconds quicker in the box and in the lane. Well, 2 seconds in each. So there you see it. Lane time was 34.7 and 36.7 for Tucker. 12.5 in the box.
So what it is,
about
Zach,
10 seconds in the box.
Recall, Tucker had pitted earlier than Durheim. What, 10 laps or so? 8 laps is what it was, actually. 8 laps earlier than Durheim. That's more fuel he had to take. Durheim didn't have to take as much.
That's true. This is what I was telling you. If they responded quickly, they could make it work.
Easy there on the mic, but
What?
I just don't know why he would have taken 2 instead of 4. You're basically in there for a 4-tire stop. You may as well. That is the only Achilles heel he's got, is taking the 2 tires. Even Malone's running him down now, because Zach, his left sides are now older. Everybody's got better. They've got equal right sides and better left sides. This was the only way he was going to lose, was taking 2 tires.
But I think when you look at it in a retrospect, Andrew, the gap closed so much before he made his second stop that he had to do something to mitigate that gap as well, because they closed on him really, really quickly, which means he was not going to have enough time to keep that gap open before we hit the white flag. So he had to do something to expand the gap once again, and I think the 2 tires was a reasonable call. However, Durheim just made it work better in the box. And even so...
Well, it's not even made it work better. He just didn't have to take as much fuel.
I mean, yes, but I still think realistically it worked in the favor of these guys taking 2 tires.
Yes, because his left sides are so much
overall
older.
It was a more beneficial situation.
But if he had taken 4,
Yes.
it would have been an extra second and a half, 2 seconds in the box. And yes, you would have lost a spot to Durheim, maybe Malone. But I don't think they fire back quite as quickly. And if he had pitted a couple laps earlier, he would have been okay still on fuel. I don't think they would have followed in the same way, and I don't think they would have taken 2 like that. If Tucker takes 4, sure, this is hypothetical, but I really don't think they would have responded the same way quite as early, also with 2 tires. So this just feels like a massive fumble for the 3, in my opinion.
That's just how racing is, honestly, though. You have to take the good and the bad, and
meanwhile, there are cars staying out. I want to bring attention to this. We are down inside of 15 to go. Kleba, Watrous, and Mott still have not pitted. They will have to, certainly, all 3 of them.
Imagine if they don't.
Well, they have to if it goes green. If we get a caution, that could save each of them. We'll see. If this runs out green, though, Durheim, Malone, Tucker, your top 3. Arthur's 4th, respectively. Followed by Anderson, Senior, Conover, Motes, and Baumler. And then finally, Norman will complete the top 10. He's racing with Baumler and with Brian Jones. Brian Jones is currently 11th if this cycles out properly, depending on where Kleba rejoins the field and Watrous both. They're almost to the point they could just take fuel only, but their tires will be so chewed up at the end of that. I don't know that that'd be worth it. I think you still want to get 2 tires just to manage what you've got, and really that defeats the entire purpose of staying out this late. I don't, and if we don't get a caution, they're submitting to finishing probably back end of the top 20. Tucker passed up at 24. That's Arthur on through to what will be 3rd spot here soon. Not quite yet. And Zach, I'm glad we waited, because now we get a clearer picture of where to go for driver of the day. And I'm sorry, Dalton Tucker, I think he had it in the bag. I think he mismanaged the pit stops. Straight up, even footing, he's got a better car. He handles it better, he's faster. I think he's the best driver here on even tires across the board. He had to find a way to lose, and boy did he.
Watrous inherits the race lead as well as Kleba hits to the pit lane. So Tucker is at least going to gain a spot back here and lose it at the same time as Anderson's to the inside. If we're putting on the spot for driver of the day, Andrew, I'm going to take him. I know I usually like to leave the obvious picks for you as lead, but I got to go with it this time. Durheim. What a standout job to get himself back into position to get this race lead. We've talked about him, Andrew, and I don't want to commentator's curse it, so I'm going to knock on wood as hard as I possibly can right now. I don't know if you can hear it, but I'm doing it. He's got the closing race speed. He's got the closing speed to make this work. He has got the ability to win this race. He has got Malone behind him, though, so he is trying his hardest to hang on to it with 10 to go. Let's see if he can get it done. He's got to be my first pick for driver of the day, and right behind him is my second pick, Malone. He has showed up and shown out. He talked about the speed that he was going to have on the ovals. He was second in practice. He started 14th on the day. He's done a great job to get up here. He's even led some laps. This is going to be one heck of a dogfight for the race win. I am excited to see how these two duke it out.
I've got Malone right now. With this battle on hand, if it goes green, I think Malone wins. Spiritually, I want Durheim to win so badly. But I think the 18's got the edge.
Andrew,
He made it 4 laps.
Andrew, don't ruin my moment. I want to see Durheim win. I honestly want to see him win.
Well, dance off the corner like Alex the Lion. Jacob Malone danced off turn number 2. My 2 picks for driver of the day. We got to hurry this up. I'm 100% taking the 24, Vincent Arthur. He led early. 40 laps led there early. We don't know exactly what happened to him. We've kind of conspired about what it might have been. But props to the number 24 getting back into this thing this evening. 3rd place potentially on the way. And I'm looking around the top 10. Honestly, I think let me look at positions gained, I guess, really quick to make sure I get the full picture. Brian Jones is up 13. I want to give mention to that. Corey Mott currently up 20. That's certainly a great day for him, but I think I just got to go for Cody Anderson. I think we're just going to take the straight up top 4 right now. He has just kind of ridden around, put himself in a good spot. He's a part-timer, races when he can, and consistently, when he does race, we keep seeing good runs out of him. If he could just buckle down and run a full season, Zach, he'd be a contender, not only for the chase, I think for the championship.
I don't deny it. Anderson has got some major speed. One thing I want to touch on, Andrew, before we have to completely focus on this battle for the lead is the battle on the points right now. Tubb is over Norman, 11th and 13th on the grid right now as they run. They are separated by 5 points in that chase cutoff, 10th and 11th. So it looks like we're going to get a bit of a flip in the point standings coming out of tonight. Donald Kite is the only other one to look at. He's 18 points out in that 12th position. So he's looking to try and find some points where he can, currently sitting in the 17th spot. He's not going to gain on his 2 bubble contenders, but another one, Brady Modes, 53 points back. He's going to gain some points, potentially on a lot of these guys. He is sitting up. Where is Brady at the moment?
Brady's 12th. He actually just lost 2 spots to Tubb and to Kleba. So Tubb just gained another one over Norman. That'll be interesting for the cut line, but 5 to go, Zach. Your top 2. It might finally be the day that the racing gods smile down upon Chase Durheim. 4 laps to go right here. Can he hang on?
The gap has extended. The lap times have been stagnating amongst the top 2. Not 2 laps ago, he was 10ths quicker than Durheim. Malone was, that is. That time by the flag stand, a 76 for Durheim, a 90 for Malone. So just falling off, just barely, by over 1/10 of a second. Durheim just came over the radio. Or Kleba, excuse me. No, well, I'm not gonna say that one. That's a little
Well, we're inside of 3 to go here, Zach. I'm looking over stats from 2005, the NASCAR Cup Series. While Greg Biffle did not win at Chicagoland, he had won 5 races to this point in 2005. 5. Chase Durheim, despite all of his great runs, winless so far in this season that we are emulating 2005 with. 2 laps to go. Popsicle sticks here at Chicagoland. He is 3 miles and counting away from finally putting a tally in the column.
He has done so much and tried so hard. He's been in so many great positions to knock it out of the ballpark and win some races. He has done everything he possibly can so far today, and it's all worked in his favor, Andrew. Through the start-finish line, white flag is in the air one more time around, presented by Whiplash Simcams. Chicagoland Speedway, the racing gods themselves, have shined on Chase Durheim. You can see the top 3 in screenshot, Andrew, but none of them are close enough to that 16 car to make it happen. Half a lap to go.
It doesn't have any votes yet in the Driver of the Day battle. I don't know how, because finally, Chase Durheim is putting a tally in the win column. He wins at Chicagoland. Durheim finally gets the monkey off his back and puts the Roush, number 16, in victory lane. They spin across the stripe. I think that might have been Jones. Maybe Norman, I'm not sure. I do know that number 16 has been posted to NORA victory lane at Chicagoland Speedway. Finally, Chase gets it done.
And that was Cody Smith spinning through the front straightaway, or through the grass on the front straightaway. And look at everyone coming up to celebrate and congratulate Durheim on what was a race well run.
I think this will be a
fantastic job for Durheim.
I think this will be a popular one for sure throughout the league. It's been struggle after struggle, bad luck after bad luck. He spoke candidly about losing his mother back around the Dover race in May. I know that was a big, big impact on him. And I think we discount the mental aspect of racing, not just in real racing a lot, but also here on the sim. You've got to be in a mental headspace to actually handle the stress of these battles. That's going to weigh on you. Tonight, he finally puts it behind him, and it's finally the number 16 doing burnouts on the banking at almost at Charlotte, Chicagoland Speedway here. Boy.
We'll be there tomorrow.
Yeah.
We'll be there tomorrow.
Finally, the 16 gets it done. By the way, if the season for Greg Biffle is anything to go off of, he's got 5 more wins on the way. Biffle won 6 times in 05. I will say he won 5 times in the first half of the season, did not win again until Miami in the finale, but he's still got 5 more to go to match Biffle's numbers for 2005. So potentially more wins on the way, if you want to look at it that way, for the number 16. We'll see.
You talked about it. You brought it up, Andrew. You have to be in a mental headspace, a good mental headspace, to be able to perform, even on the sim. And once you finally get that first race win and you actually get to feel that celebration, it is so much more lifting on that headspace. And then you find yourself winning more. First it's 1 race, then it's 2, then it's 3, 4, 5 races, 6 on the season. And, you know, honestly, Andrew, it brings a bit of a tear to my eye to see that 16 doing burnouts. Obviously, it goes without saying that we lost Greg Biffle not about 6 months ago, back in December, and you know we're just past that 6-month mark. So it's great to see as the motor expires on that 16. It's great to see Greg Biffle's legacy still lives on in a lot of different ways, and it's nice to see that 16 car doing donuts here at Chicago.
They got one more slide out of it there, trying to get it back at least to the front stretch. Well, I guess the start-finish line or so. Well, I think he's going to go for the pit lane, actually. I'm sorry, Chase, but I can't help you now. The engine is too far gone. We'll get a look back at your unofficial race results here this evening. A really fun race here at Chicagoland. We had a lot of different twists and turns, and, you know, for the history the 16 and the 3 have here in this season alone, it's got to feel really, really good for Durheim to get the win by passing Dalton Tucker this evening. Chase, of course, wins here at Chicagoland. The rest of the field looks like this. Jacob Malone, Vincent Arthur, Cody Anderson, and Dalton Tucker, your top 5. What could have been for Dalton? Could have been a 6th win, I think, on the season. I mean, he has been so good. And I maintain, I think he is easily the best week in and week out. But tonight, again, I really feel like he had to find a way to lose. And boy, his bloodhound skills are there because he found it. I think if he maintains some kind of even tire footing to these guys, he walks away with this, but you'll have to wonder what could have been as he finishes 5th tonight. Josh Conover 6th, Dustin Kleba 7th, Brian Jones, Hunter Sr., Kevin Baumler, your top 10. And again, Zach, I mean, what, 8 of these guys are on our power rankings graphic each week, it feels like. So easily the cream of the crop right here at the front at Chicago.
Yeah, fantastic job overall for these guys. And then rolling outside the top 10, even some good runs back there. You've got Kyle Tubb in that 11th spot, and Brady Moser behind him in the 12th spot, running Norman 13th. Isaiah Watros is in the 14th spot with Brian Housen, that number 15 car, in the 15th spot. Skavnicki right behind them, 16th, and then it's Kite Fulham, Corey Moat. Oh man, it's so similar to Brady's last name, but definitely holding on for that 19th finishing position, that 89 car, and Nick Hom, the first car, 1 lap down in the 20th spot.
Good turnout this evening. You see a lot of them finishing on the lead lap, 19 of the 33 that showed up this evening, and still another 3 here on this page that finished the race. Smith, Johns, and Gladulich, 21st, 22nd, 23rd. Not a great race for any of them, but certainly things to build on there, as Corey Harville will finish 24th, I believe the first car that did not. Actually, he did cross the stripes. He got back out there at the end. So we had 24 actually take the checkered flag. The first that did not was Caden Henry Oaks, 25th this evening. It'll be 26th for Nick Geilis, 27th for Blake Hoppy. You see Jordan White, Kyle Rochelle, Josh Adams out early. My fantasy hopes this week dying there with the 12 car in 29th. And the 11 who was not here, I hope Jake Christenberry is feeling well very soon, but you see Tyler DeTalent, Joseph Andujar, and Noah Blackwell there at the back end of the field. Blackwell did not take the start of the race, but he was here in spirit for practice, just didn't begin the race this evening. So we'll finally get to do this, Zach. It's been a long season of waiting for the number 16 to finally get to victory lane. We finally then get to talk to you as a race winner, Chase, and we haven't even talked to you very often just in general in post-race. How good is it to hear our voices right now? You finally got the win.
Dude, it's amazing. It's amazing. I can't believe it. Yeah, it's not even just wins, it's podiums. I haven't been able to seal the deal here, but I gotta try to compose myself. I gotta be honest, I got tears in my eyes. I was crying that whole last lap, and I've never been this emotional after a league race win. You know, I've been doing iRacing only 3 or 4 years now, and I've won a championship in another league that was not as competitive as this, and I've won plenty of races, but absolutely nothing is felt as good as this. You know, it's got a lot going on in our personal lives. You know, we lost our mom a few months ago, and it just seems like something happens every single race. So to be able to put one together, you know, all the way to the end, it's incredible. I know my mom was up there watching somewhere, and yeah, it's incredible.
I read off some of your stats earlier in the evening talking about how it just has not gone well for you a lot. You know, certainly great running position. Your average position at the time was 7.6. It gets a little better now, 7.1. But the big thing here is that win column is finally filled. But looking at the rest of your season, of the other, well, I guess of the 17 races you started, for example, only 6 top 5s, only 10 top 10s. Sure, you've still been up front, but it's been a long road to get to this point. We talk about momentum a lot on the broadcast side, talking about how, you know, you get one, the others are sure to follow. We have a lot of different races coming up. We haven't even looked at the schedule yet this evening, but Montreal next, Daytona, Pocono, Indianapolis, Watkins Glen. It's a very diverse schedule. So how do you take this momentum that you're building tonight and keep this moving through the summer as we get closer to the chase?
Honestly, these cookie cutter tracks are my bread and butter. So I've never really, I just bought Montreal, never turned a lap there. So I'm just going to be there for that race. And, you know, who knows at Daytona, Pocono, Indianapolis, Watkins Glen, these are not really that good of tracks for me. So it is such a huge relief to be able to win this race, get that one in the win column. Yeah, I've found just about every different way to lose these races, whether it's I get into somebody, I get into the wall, I pick the wrong strategy. You know, a couple times people have gotten into me and turned me around. But, you know, it's always something, and it gives me a lot of confidence knowing, hey, we can, not only can we put a race together, we can beat these guys straight up with no strategy, nothing like that. And when it comes time for the chase, there's a lot of tracks in there that are really good for me. I'm just gonna kind of chill these next few weeks, run the best I can, not really do anything different, but yeah, just kind of tune myself up for the chase and hopefully not piss anybody off these next few weeks where that could come back around to bite me later.
Looking over at my other monitor, I see you're finally leading the driver of the day vote. We nominated you there with about 8 laps to go, and that was after you had just passed Dalton Tucker for the lead. I gotta know. We like to play up the drama a little bit. It's fun, gives us storylines. Of course, we saw what happened at Charlotte, and even a time or two since then, you guys getting near each other, always tense on the racetrack. Was it poetic in your mind that he kind of found the way to lose tonight, and you were able to pass him for this win?
Yeah, it's so much more satisfying knowing that, yeah, it was straight up. There wasn't any flukiness to it. I guess I'm not really sure what he did on strategy, but I saw how well 2 tires worked for him earlier in the race. So at that last caution, unlike what I've been doing throughout the year, I kind of looked ahead, I planned ahead. I knew, let's try to get 2 tires on our last stop and not run our tires bald before we do that so they're super offset. So once I saw Dalton pit, you know, when I was planning to pit 5 laps later, you know, I just adjusted a little bit, pitted earlier, and once I got around him, I thought I was on cruise control, and then here comes this 18 in my mirror, you know, 0.2 a lap. I thought I was cooked there for sure. I was like, oh, we've come all this way, we've done all this, we've made no mistakes, and this new guy, this 18, is gonna come steal one. But I air blocked the hell out of him, and I guess I don't really know what happened. But Vincent, the 24, he was on his way too, it looked like. So Another 5 laps, it would have been a crazy finish.
Hey, a crazy good win for you this evening, Chase. Good to talk to you, and hopefully we're making this more of a habit the rest of the season.
Yeah, I hope so too. I just want to shout out my family, my wife for helping out with the kids every Monday night. Not just every Monday night, but all the other times that I'm practicing. I usually try to get an hour or two of practice sometime before the race. So shout out to her. Shout out to my mother-in-law Brandy for helping out with the kids too. It's just it's a team effort here all the way in Ellendale, North Dakota to pull this one off.
Once again, congratulations, Chase, and like I said, hopefully you're making more of a habit of this. This feels like it could be the beginning of something, and I just hope to see, if you can shoot for Greg's number in 05, that'd be 5 more. So we'll see if you can do it.
And he was ripping them off earlier in the year, and I was trying to keep up, couldn't do it, not even close. So we'll see what happens. But thank you. You guys always put on a good show, and I absolutely look forward to watching this one back.
Well, it was certainly worth it. Chase Durheim gets the win here at Chicagoland over Jacob Malone. This is the second, maybe third week in a row we're talking to this guy at the end of the race, and second time we're talking to him tonight. Zach, his average finish the last couple of weeks, 1.5. It's like we can't get rid of this 18 car, Zach.
Certainly can't. And finishing in the second place position, Jacob, you tracked him down at the end. You started losing Durheim a little bit as the laps winded down. Being on the fresher tires, did you push a little too hard? Did you just try to get to him as quick as you could? What was the mentality and the racecraft going on there, trying to go for the win?
Well, I kind of pushed as much as I could to try to get to him because the car was driving perfect, spick and spam. I was confident in my line that it would maintain that, driving profile of a slightly loose driving race car. And the second I got within 0.3 of him, it took off so tight and I just chewed up the right front. So it was on me at the end for not being able to get it done, but I ran as hard as I could to try to get to him in the first place, and that set me up for that, and did not succeed, unfortunately.
Absolutely. And then I think the biggest thing that I wanted to ask was the strategy response. 2 tires for him, 4 tires for you. Do you think 4 tires was still the move there at the end? Because we had a little bit of debate up in the booth about whether or not 4 tires over 2 was going to be the most beneficial.
I took 2. I just had to wait on fuel. I don't know why. I think my auto fuel was messed up, so I had a lot of excess fuel sitting there, which was the problem. I had to wait a little bit extra on pit road. But the downfall of my strategy was at the beginning. I went so long at the beginning, and so I got stuck in traffic for the second stop. And with traffic, it's so tight, so you can't really do anything. And then once I finally got through that, I just took 2 and hoped for the best. And I just was very fast on 2 tires at the beginning of the run. It kind of fell off towards the end. But 2 tires kind of helped my rotation, which is what I like. I like a loose race car. Kind of be on the edge a little bit.
Well, you certainly put on a heck of a show to get her done here today. Congratulations on the second place finish, and hopefully we're talking to you again soon in another post-race interview, whether it be second, third, or even the race win. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Zach, I think we'll be talking
Absolutely,
to him
and that is
next
Jacob
week. I really do think we'll be talking to him
yeah.
next week after the race in Montreal. I know he said he doesn't really know the track very well, or that it might not be in his wheelhouse, but I really think we're talking to the 18 next week. One guy that can give him a run for his money, though, the number 24 who finishes third, Vincent. I know you just had a big weekend out in California, I'm sure, but you get back home on the sim. Don't know how much practice you had. 40 laps led, though. It went well for you, at least in the early going. We noticed you fell back, though, shortly thereafter. What happened?
I sped on pit road, just a mental mistake. I saw a 5, and it definitely was 6.5 and not 5.6. So I didn't back it down quite enough to be able to give the time back, and just shot myself in the foot a little bit. And thought it would be okay. Then I got back there and I realized that you're all kind of going the same speed. So yeah, just a little unfortunate. I had just my qualifying laps coming into tonight, so yeah, I didn't really know what to expect, but Chicagoland's always been a place for me where I've been pretty decent ever since I picked up a NASCAR video game when I was like 12. Chicagoland's just been a place where it's come pretty natural. So yeah, it was nice to get up there, lead some laps, get those bonus points. And then it was kind of just strategy, trying to get back to the front after the speeding penalty. And I think we did a good job overall. I think, just ripping the top, trying to get as much track position as possible, and then taking the 2 tires there at the end. That definitely was the play for the win. I think if I had a little bit of track position to begin with, I think we would have been, I feel like we would have come out in front of the 16. And then, if we had just had 5 or 10 laps left there, if it went to 170 instead of 160, I think I really would have given them a run for the money, because I was 2 or 3 tenths faster per lap than them coming to the end, and I just was too far back to really do anything with it. So all in all, up and down day, but like I've been preaching over the past couple weeks, it's just consistent finishes. Just you make a mistake, don't make it worse. It's easy to get back in traffic and get aero tight and slam the wall, particularly when I was out front. Before that, I didn't really know how dirty air was going to affect me. But it's just, keep being consistent, keep, your head down, keep grinding, and these top 3 finishes, they'll come.
Yeah, this is a big one for you this evening. Obviously, we keep kind of talking about whether or not you're going to make the chase. You come in tonight, I believe a little bit to the good, 19 points over. This should put you maybe a third of a race in worth of points, right? And we go to a road course next up, and I can imagine you were probably out in San Diego over the weekend. I gotta ask, did you learn anything over the weekend that could help you on the road course? Maybe even how to avoid an Adam Andretti Parker Clearman fight?
Yeah. Yeah, it was a great weekend in San Diego. Getting to work with Jimmy is just, it's an absolute dream to, grow up watching him on TV and taking titles from Jeff and all those wins. Just to be able to get to work with one of your heroes is honestly a dream come true. So that in and of itself was surreal, and just to learn from his mindset and how he goes about the weekend is, that stuff's invaluable, because, unless you're there and in person, you don't get to learn these things. So, the opportunity was just amazing. But yeah, I think it's just to keep yourself clean. Like we saw that this weekend with people wrecking, going to backup trucks, fixing their primaries. If you damage your truck like that, like you can have a really fast piece, but if it's, getting beat up throughout the race, you're just going to cost yourself time. And I think going into Montreal next week, it's just going to be more of that. The walls can kind of close on you pretty quick at this track, and it's very, very easy to overdrive it. So, just go out there, learn, become faster as the race goes on. You're not going to win the race early. Just take all those lessons that we learned from this week or from this past week, and just try to implement them into the sim. And then I'm racing at Hickory on Saturday, so try to implement them in real life here coming up soon.
Well, Zach, I guess we'll find out soon if Jimmy had any golden horseshoes remaining to pass along to Vincent. But Vincent, good to talk to you as always. Hopefully I see you out of Hickory this weekend, and hopefully we're talking to you at Montreal next week.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it.
Vincent Arthur with third place here at Chicagoland. Obviously, a good night, good points night for him, especially the recovery drive after the speeding penalty. I kind of figured that's what it was. We've seen that multiple times for him earlier this season. So as he looks to add a win in the column alongside that win from Martinsville, we can mark down Chicagoland as a win for the number 16 and Chase Durheim. I can tell you that race at Montreal next week is no longer 81 laps, shortened to 52 next week. So that will be a more palatable experience, I think, for a lot of these guys. A little bit short of a race. We'll get it a little bit faster, and we won't be here quite all night. I feel like it was going to be like the 4 hours of Montreal otherwise, so I think the drivers will be appreciative of that, Zach. But as we look forward, we've talked about it several times already, that there's really no theme to the schedule that remains, and I wonder if that was intentional on NASCAR's part. For all those years with this summer schedule, or if it really just happened this way. I mean, it feels like summer racetracks. It feels like these races are where they should be, but they have no real flow through them. We have Montreal, Daytona, Pocono, Indianapolis, Watkins Glen, Michigan, Bristol, California, Richmond, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. None of it makes a whole lot of sense. There's no flow. It's anybody's guess as to who's going to win any of these races. And Zach, I'm not sure if you know this, but you are muted.
I can confirm, I forgot that I was muted. I was trying to let you and Vincent have your moment, and I muted myself, and I forgot to unmute. But the races have been a little all over the place, and I can say that I am very happy that the Montreal race has been shortened by 30 laps. I think that was going to be a little bit of a long one. So
I'd have been
glad
here
to see
for
that
it, but yeah.
they're taking that into account.
I'd have been here for it, but that would have been a longer one. That would have been like Charlotte all over again, just a little bit longer. But maybe one day we have like the 4 hours of NORA somewhere. I hear there's some rumblings about some racetracks to add down the road. So we'll be talking about that next week in the pre-race show. For now, Zach, a big thank you to our partners with the series, of course, Harpoon Design, Sparks Builders, Darkstar Garage, and NORA, and our partners here at the channel, Whiplash Simcams, MX Wraps, ATVO, Murtis Esports, CC's Business, the North American Racing League, Whiplash Creative, and TZO Designs. And, well, I am very, very happy about this, just for him. I'm happy that he is going to get this next accolade we're going to mention. Chase Durheim is today's North American Racing League Driver of the Day. That feels so appropriate. He finally broke through, finally got the win. I do think this will be one of the more popular wins of the season for sure. So we'll see. Can we get another fan favorite maybe next week at Montreal? Who knows? I really do think we're going to see the same top three potentially. But maybe toss in Ryan Housden if he can avoid the woes on the initial start of the race. Who knows what can happen with that 15 car next week in Canada. It'll be fun to hit some international flavor as well. I know it's not far over the border there in Canada, but we are technically leaving the States for next week's race. That should be exciting. Any final thoughts here, though, Zach, from Chicagoland?
Give me more of that racing, because that was fun to watch. That was a really good race there at the end.
Well, we've got some more racing, not quite the exact same the rest of the week, but plenty more racing. In fact, we're next in action on Wednesday evening. How about this, Zach? Yes, sir. We've finally got the SARA National Tour this season, brought to you by Oarsman Ford of Manassas. That'll be Wednesday for their season opener. They've got 3 late model stock races. That's the Virginia Triple Crown at South Boston, Langley, and Martinsville. Also, 3 super late model races. They've made their own super Triple Crown at Slinger, Oxford, and Five Flags. We're kicking that action off. Some short track racing back to the channel this Wednesday, 2 nights from now. South Boston Speedway, we've got Whiplash Legends first up on the card, 50 laps for those guys, then 200 for the late model stocks later on in the evening. Thursday, we get a new season starting for the North American Racing League, brought to you by Maradness. They open things up with the Porsche Cup cars at Hockenheimring, and then Friday we continue on with the Steering Wheel Nation Truck Series. That race was postponed from June 12th back to June 26th, so we should be hearing some about that very soon, but I'm excited. Full slate of racing this week, pretty much. A lot to look forward to, Zach.
Absolutely, and plenty of places to follow along with it all. You can always check in with pitstoptv.com, facebook.com/pitstoptv, instagram.com/pit_stop_tv. Discord link right there if you would like to join the Pitstop TV Discord server and tune into all of the great information that we have there. TikTok.com/pitstoptv1, twitch.tv/pit_stop_tv, youtube.com/pitstoptv1 as well. One of the best places to follow along with Pitstop TV because you can do the driver of the day vote and everything along those lines. But Andrew, we've got so much great stuff coming up. I'm excited for Wednesday. I'm super excited for Wednesday. You know how much I love Sarah, so it's great to see that they are back. It's great to see that we're going to get to have some fun with them one more time, especially seeing if maybe some of those guys want to hop into the Legend Car race. Maybe, just maybe they can take out that Josh Conover guy. I don't know, because if they don't do it, I might do it myself. But we're just speculating here. We're speculating is all.
I'm excited to see how this week goes, and then plenty more the rest of the summer. I'm excited. A lot going on here at Pitstop TV lately, fantasy games and all. Make sure you check in on those in the Pitstop TV Discord server down at the bottom of your screen. But that'll do it for us this evening from Chicagoland Speedway. Thanks so much for joining us. Hopefully we see you again soon. Hopefully Wednesday for the Sarah Oarsman Ford of Manassas National Tour. I'm excited for that. Late model stock, South Boston Speedway. What more could you want? We'll see you there, hopefully. Until then, have a great night.